All right, I'm going to hit that recording in progress so I don't get in trouble so that this recording goes live in the Keller Williams New England YouTubies. Good morning, everyone. How are you? I see everybody.
Great.
Good
Everybody.
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning. I know a couple of you already reached out to me and said it's going to be a non-video day because of things you're dealing with, or you're working remotely, or you're at your other jobs, trying to make the transition over to us full time. And we have a great
Don't forget
day.
globally, Europe
Glo-
and everywhere else and worldwide.
Ta-da! So we
Multitasking.
have some special guests with us today. So today we have our very own Darren, and I'll have him introduce himself. And we also have a visitor from another region who's here to help us teach today. We have Jack Crutchfield Jr. So Darren, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. Jack will hop on over to you, and then we'll go over some questions, some ahas, and I'll let you guys run right through the materials.
Awesome. That sounds good. Thank you, Brooke. I appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's going to be a great day today. We're going to be going over our goals. My name is Darren. I am the productivity coach for Keller Williams Legacy Partners. So we are located in Central Connecticut. We've got 7 offices. We've got over 400 agents. Right now, we got about 56 people in our coaching program. Give you a little bit of history. Prior to this, I was at another real estate company. You may not recognize it, but it has a number 21 in it, but quickly knew that that wasn't for me. Came here and everything's been great since that. Prior to that, I was actually a stunt double for The Rock. So everything was good. And I decided to make a career shift. So there you go.
I mean, I must have been way too busy helping The Rock when his career blew up. I mean, you must have been exhausted.
Somebody's got to carry him. Somebody had to make him successful. So I figured I would step into that role. Once I did that, I'm like, hey, the only natural transition was to go into real estate at that point, right?
Right?
But see,
Glutton for
that's the key
punishment.
thing. The key thing right there is the listening factor. You're going to realize as a real estate agent, real estate specialist, you want to have listening skills. So for those of you that picked up on that, fantastic. That's great. Those of you that didn't, well, you got something to work on. So
Yep. Yeah. And you just learned to throw a little humor and comedy into your listing presentations. The things I slip into some of these trainings or your workbooks, I know who's paying attention, who's been in one of my classes where I give out the coloring books in the workbook. That's because you're not looking through the pages. I'm telling you, friends, we color, we play games. It's romper room over here in New England. All right, Jack, introduce yourself.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I am Jack Crutchfield Jr. I am the Regional Technology Director of the Maryland, D.C. region, working closely with Brooke. Shout out to Brooke. All right. A little bit of history. I started off as the Director of First Impressions in the Upper Marlboro Market Center in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Worked my way up into working closely with the ALC Tech Committee as the leadership liaison. And then from there, well, we were announced that we were a tech company, and it was my calling because I do have a tech background. So from there, I became the Market Center tech trainer of that Market Center, and officially became a labs advisor as well during that time. And I just recently accepted the position of Regional Technology Director for this region back in November. Very fun stuff. I do have a passion for education, and I'm also a musician. So when I'm not here in this amazing Zoom room with you all, helping you grow your business and leverage it through technology, I'm also in the arena at the Washington Wizards. I work for the Wizards Game Entertainment as well as Washington Nationals. So I'm on the field or on the court or on the field door knocking with you all.
Wow. We have a celebrity in our presence. I mean, besides the Rock stunt double. I mean, here we
Oh,
go.
I can't hold a flame to that. No.
Right? You stealing that for your next presentation? So good. Guys, I'm Brooke Silva. I'm your regional technology trainer. Have met so many of you in person or on Zooms. So let's jump right into today's stuff so we can get you out of here on time or maybe even a little early so you can enjoy the snow day or you can hide in your caves. So yesterday was your database is your business. You guys who know me, database and data bank is everything. It's my biggest soapbox thing. Start now, right? Clean database now leads to data bank. Garbage in, garbage out. Your pizza guy doesn't need to be in your database. Don't sync your phone to command. Emojis also don't roll through. So guys, come off of mute or put in the chat. What was one of your big ahas or something you were going to implement immediately from yesterday's Spark?
I'm gonna give everybody a hint right now that
ETD.
we as the instructors, we're very comfortable with the awkward silence. You
Oh,
have
yeah.
to get used to it. We're good with it. So we could sit here all morning long too. So
Smart plans.
Yeah, baby.
The DTD2 with the smart plan, but I wanted to ask you about what smart plan. It's a little confusing when you go into smart plans. There's several different options. So clarification on that would be great.
Yeah, no, we can do that too. And then quarterly call plan, birthday, monthly neighborhood nurture. Those are your top three. I'm seeing tags. Tags are life. Right? If you want some good humor, go find my building a better cheeseburger class on the YouTube. We talk all about tags and why they are life. Tag, organize. Go deeper, Deanna. What do you mean organize? Because that can mean anything. That can mean dusting it, clicking sort. With tags. Tags are life. Hashtag tag for life. Hashtag tag the tag.
what you'll find is organization is big and you want to set it up in the beginning. That's why you time block, you organize your schedule. It's why you organize and get in the habit of organizing your database right from the beginning, because when things get really busy, you're going to have that organization to fall back on. If you don't do it now, it's going to throw you a wrench later on down the road.
It is. And, I'll tell you guys, and I'm sure Jack feels this as well. When I sit with agents who have been doing this a long time and they're trying to improve their productivity, close more sales, one of the biggest hurdles is the fact that their databases are base. There's nothing big about them. There's nothing great about them. And the most painful thing we do is we have to go backwards from their most recent sale and we clean those people up, right? Because you are never going to do a database cleanup from A to Z. It's overwhelming. You'll get 15 people in and be like, forget this. I am not doing this. So start now. So if you could build one habit out of Ignite, clean. Your database needs to be a data bank, and it is your 401kW. Because I'm pretty sure that none of you signed up for the matching 401k. Oh, that's right, because you own your own businesses. There is no 401k. Your database is your 401k. Treat it as such. All right?
Yeah, and just one thing also to add, don't mean to cut you off, Brooke.
Well,
A beautiful thing about the customizing your database to set up your custom tags and your contact tags, I should say, excuse me. Beautiful thing about that also is that it helps everything. It's almost like learning how to work the system so the system can work for you. It's your virtual assistant, it's your database. And as you feed your data bank, you're feeding your database. When you're ready for your lead generation, custom tags, sort your database in command by the tag. I know who I'm calling today. I know who I'm calling next week. Same as if I'm adding someone to a specific smart plan. I have a tag specific to people who came to my open house follow-up. Or excuse me, to my open house. This is the open house follow-up. Or if I know I'm advertising my just sold or my just listed and I'm generating leads, that way I know, okay, these are new Facebook leads that I need to add this particular tag to. And Brooke, another beautiful thing about tags too is now in smart plans, you can also utilize your tag triggers. So as soon as your leads come in or as soon as you add that tag to your contacts, they're automatically added to the smart plan. Extra leverage.
it's so good. And guys, I'll tell you this. Size doesn't matter of your database in the beginning. It doesn't. What matters in the beginning is the quality. You guys are going to come to an email class with me. You're going to get pissed off because you set up all these emails. You've got all these things, and then you go to make the lists and you don't have any emails. Set it up in the beginning. Run with it. All right, guys. Let's roll into setting goals that matter. And then just a quick plug on 120. If you've got your goals set up after this on Thursday the 20th in our tech series, Thursdays 2 p.m., we are going to go over how to enter those goals in command so you can track. All right, so 120, put me in your time block, 2 p.m., goals that matter in the tech time. All right, boys, take it away. Thank you so much for being here and have a great Spark.
Thanks, Brooke.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Jack, you going to share your screen or do you want me to share my screen?
For the slides, I can share.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So today, one of the most important days that you're going to have when it comes to growing and starting your business. All right. Setting your goals are extremely important. It's one of the essential things that we need to do. And it's one of the things that are actually going to help us to get to where we want to go. All right. So when we go in and we actually set our goals, all right, what we're doing is we're taking a look at where we are right now. Okay. Where we're going to set our goals as to where we want to be. Right now, we know where we are. We know where we want to get to. We've got to fill in the space in between. We've got that gap in between. And going from point A to point B, all right, that's our journey throughout the year. But if we don't know where we're going, nothing else ever matters, right? So let's see here.
Let me go back. Here we go.
Yeah, we'll go to, what's it, is the second slide on there? We can jump into that, right?
Yeah, let
But-
me pull it up.
It's just like when we use Waze or Google Maps, right? If we're looking to get to where we want to go, I mean, we're not just going to blindly go out and go to a destination, right? We're actually going to put the information in there, plug it in there, and that's going to give us the path on how to get there. All right. And it's one of the essential items that we do. A lot of times agents, when they come in, they really don't know what they want to do. They don't have a concrete idea of what their end game is going to be. All right. So for us, okay, if we're not really sure, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about setting goals. We're going to talk about setting big goals. And there's a reason for that. Because honestly, anything that we do, any action that we take, or anything that leads us towards those goals, even if we hit 50%, 75% of that goal, we still have done something. We still have moved. We still progressed. Biggest thing from that too is that we're going to learn. And when we learn, that's going to help us to grow our business. And then the second year, we're going to get bigger and we're going to get better. And the third year, we're going to get bigger and better. I've seen people that have come in, they go through their first year, maybe they don't hit their goals, but I'll tell you, second year, third year, they are hitting their goals. They're doubling their business. They're doing everything they can, okay, to grow their business. But without a plan, nothing really happens, all right? So some of the things that we talked about is early on, in the beginning of this week, are different activities that we do to grow our business and to run our business, all right? And if you look at it, all right, there's really no secret to what we have to do. Take a look at what's on here right now. All right. The big thing about KW is that you actually have a game plan. You've actually got everything in place that you need to achieve your goals. How many of you actually have a copy of The Millionaire Real Estate Agent or have read it already? Anybody? All right. I say you should have that book and you should have it by you all the time because you're going to reference that on a regular basis. Anybody know when that book was written? 2002. 2002. All right, so you're like, oh my God, that's 20 years old. Yeah, it's 20 years old. But you know something? The principles don't change. The process, the systems, none of that changes. If it worked back then, it still works now. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. Success leaves clues. You're going to hear that a lot. Success leaves clues. And because of that, all we got to do is we've got to follow what other people have done before us. If you really want a good idea on how to basically be successful, go to any of the agents in your office that have a business that you admire, that you want to get to, and talk to them. You're going to hear the same consistent message of exactly what it is that they do. And it's right here too. All right. Lead generate. If you don't lead generate, nothing's happening. All right. And I'm going to check in with everybody throughout the morning and find out how many of your phones are ringing right now with people calling to do real estate transactions. Probably not many. So because of that, we have to go out to them. We have to let them know that we're in real estate, right? We put together seller listings, we get listings. We put together buyer presentations and get listings, right? We preview real estate. Those are the things that we do to grow our business because we're getting the experience. And then running our business, everything's laid out there, all right? And when we get in the habit of tracking these things and doing these activities, we're going to have the business that we want. And it's going to happen in small increments, all right? None of this is really mind-blowing. None of this is those things where, you know, it looks like you see it on TV. I'm thinking of all these real estate shows where they show the end process, but they don't show you all the little actions they took in the beginning to get to that end process. And it's not going to be sexy. It's not going to be fancy, but if you do these things day in and day out, you're going to get to where you want to go. I like to say that everybody knows what the noun is, that end game. They want to be that noun. They don't want to do the verb to get to the noun though. That's the problem. But if you do that, you'll have the business that you want. So Jack, anything you want to add there at all?
Yeah, it's lead generation is very important because remember, even though we still have amazing technology to leverage to run our business, we are still the fiduciary and we still want to have that one-on-one engagement with our clients to know that we definitely care. And the beautiful thing about also lead generation, even if you have a call, lead generation is usually misconstrued, or the misconcept about it is that we have to talk about real estate, or we have to talk about business the entire time. No, it can just be that forward. It can just be that personal touch. And you can just ask if you're staying safe in the snowstorm currently. And you can ask if how's the kids doing in college, or how's the kids doing, or how's your son's football game, or how did that go? And it's just the power of just knowing that you care and you love your business, as well as knowing your clients know that you love and care, which you do. And then they'll trust you. And if they trust you, they'll definitely do business with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the questions I always tell people to ask is, ask them how work is going, because what are they going to do? They're going to reciprocate and ask you how work is going. And that's your in to talk about real estate if you can, right? So the things that we're going to focus on the list of growing your business and running your business are lead generation. All right. That's key. We always want to do that because that's a regular activity. We should have that every single day. That should be a habit. All right. We're going to talk about setting our goals. And of course, by you being here, you're attending the training and you're getting the coaching in this instance. So we're hitting these three things today. So it should be a good day. All right. So here's the layout in terms of what we're going to be covering. So we're going to be talking about envisioning your big life. I mentioned before that we want to set goals that are big. And the reason for that is because, listen, even if we hit the halfway point of those goals, 3/4 of the goal, it's still a big accomplishment. All right. We're going to talk about understanding our goal. We're going to be talking about the activities that we're going to do. All right. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to sum everything up and we're going to show you exactly what you need to do in order to keep track of everything that you're doing. All right. One of the things we'll be doing is setting up a 411. And the 411 is going to be your guide. That's something that you're going to want to do every single month as part of your goal setting. And that's going to help you to track and monitor your progress and also monitor your activities. Okay. So when we're talking about goals, right, we touched on it a little bit, but what's important about having goals? Why do goals matter?
You can put a time for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. What else?
That's kind of how you get to achieve things in your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Accountability.
Yep. Accountability. We see to measure success in the chat as well.
Accountability is big.
Because you need a reason to know why you're doing something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How many of you have actually come up with your big why? Anybody know what a big why is? And it's not the grocery store.
I could tell you're from Connecticut.
Sure.
We don't have that.
Okay. That's good. That's read the regionality there. So there you go. Perfect. Big Y is a grocery store around here. It's just the letter Y. So that's why I say that. But the big why, essentially, that's one of the first things that you want to start to put together when it comes to you and formulating your life. Right. The big why is why'd you get into real estate? What's that going to do for you? What's that going to do for your family? What is the purpose behind that? And that's going to drive you towards your goals. We're going to get into that a little bit today, but understanding, look, all right, motivation is fleeting. Motivation it ebbs and flows. And if you have that big why in front of you that's consistently reminding you and consistently generating that motivation, then that ties in directly to your goals. And that's what's going to keep you going day in and day out. All right. So, Jack, anything you want to add on that point?
Actually, yes. Roberto put into in the chat to motivate you. And I heard you say the same thing, Darren, to motivate. That is the biggest keyword there is motivation and motivate. Now, if you can pop into the chat, what motivates you all? And this helps you also dig deeper into your big why. What motivates you from the time you open your eyes to the time you close them day in and day out? What motivates you? You can pop into the chat. All right, my son, my kids. Shout out to all the children, right? All right, Lisa says learning, family, being able to provide for my family, Absolutely. My family. So we see some core values and beliefs as well as some similar answers. Oh, work for myself, future self, never to start a new career, better future, provide for my family, generational wealth creation. Bookmark that, everyone. Generational wealth creation, feeling successful.
good.
Okay.
That is good.
Flexible schedule. I'm surprised that wasn't one of the first things, the flexible schedule, right?
That's usually, yeah, top of mind. Everybody's like, oh, I want the freedom, the flexible schedule. Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now today, understanding your goal, and as we move on, this will allow you to understand, how do we get there? Where do we start? How do we get there? As Darren mentioned, if we're looking at our GPS and Google Maps, where are we going? We can have this beautiful Ferrari or this beautiful Lamborghini just sitting there, and yes, it runs. However, if we don't know where our destination is, or we don't know how to get there, then we're not burning rubber here. Future self, future success, fund my freedom. Great answers, great answers.
Absolutely.
Now here's
Jack,
a quote, one thing.
Yeah.
Who we
You wanna
are,
take this one?
sure. Who we are and where we want to go determine what we do and what we accomplish. Who we are and where we are, or excuse me, where we want to go, who we are and where we want to go to determine what we do and what we accomplish. All right. Who here has heard of the one thing? I'm hoping everybody, yeah, look at that, beautiful. All right, great. So the One Thing book, of course, is the One Thing book by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan about how to structure your life and to achieve your goals. Okay, that was just no. Okay, to achieve your goals and where you want to go. So here's the thing. Uh-oh. All right.
Got the book.
Somebody, yeah, got the book. Look at that. That's a nice cover. Is that hardback? Is that? Oh, okay. All right. Everyone's showing off their One Thing books also.
There you go.
So now let's just give some empowerment to anyone on the call here. Anyone would like to read the quote that we see here back to us again? It's one thing for us to say it as instructors, but who would like to actually repeat this for themselves? You can raise your digital hand or unmute yourself.
I can do it.
Sure.
Who we are and where we want to go determine what we do and what we accomplish.
All right. What we accomplish and what we accomplish, we will accomplish a lot. Okay. So it's powerful to read this back to you. You can also say, you don't have to unmute yourself, or if you're busy, we understand. Just read that again to yourselves and see how powerful that is. Think about this quote. Let's think about it for just a second. Why is it important to set goals? You can pop into the chat or you can raise your digital hand. Why is it important to set goals? All right, looking into the chat, what do we have? Motivation, okay. What else? To measure our progress. Wow, that's a great one. To measure our progress.
The accountable word again too.
Yeah, there you go. To hold ourselves accountable. We need a roadmap to get us where we want to go. We need a roadmap. All right, that's awesome. That's awesome. So it is important to set goals because the opposite of this quote is also true. What you do and what you accomplish determines who you are and where you want to go. If your activities don't have a guiding goal, of course, we'll be wandering aimlessly. We'll be very busy, or as they say, booked and busy, and not have a lot of time to show for it.
Right.
Don't mistake movement for achievement. Right? Bold law that we have there.
That's good. That's good. Way to work that bowl line. That's fantastic.
All right. And if anyone hasn't taken bold business objective life by design, please sign up for it very soon. All right. So again, remember, the mission of Keller Williams is to build careers worth having. correct? Businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth having. None of those things just happen. We have to set goals. We have to hold ourselves accountable. We have to be very, very intentional. Setting goals that matter means doing the work that matters. All right. Kevin Hart has an amazing quote. Kevin Hart, the comedian, he always likes to start off his show with, and as he's saying his prayer and everything with his friends and family backstage, said, everybody want to shine, but they don't want to put the work in. He repeats it 5 times. Everybody wants to shine, but does not want to put the work in. When our work matters, we tend to do more of it, and we do it well, and we love it, and it becomes part of our lifestyle.
Yeah, one of the things that we want to do with everything that we do in our business is we want to be purposeful, okay? So everything that you do has to bring you closer to your goal. The activities that you do are driving you in that direction. So it's one thing to be busy, it's another thing to be productive. So every action that you take, you want to sit there and say, is this bringing me closer to my goal? Okay, is this making me money? Is this growing my business? Or is this leaving me in neutral? So know the difference between being busy and being productive. All right, busyness, not going to get you anything. If you're like, well, I'm just going to count my paper clips to make sure I have enough. So when the business comes in, I've got enough to, keep the paper together. It doesn't mean anything. It's not bringing you closer to your goal. Reaching out and talking to your database, that's going to bring you closer to your goal.
Absolutely. And now we're looking at think, act, and achieve. Now, part of achieving goals is working hard. I think we can all agree on that. Wouldn't you agree? Working hard. Some people say, I'd rather work smart, not hard. Well, you can work smart and work hard by being very intentional. Wouldn't you agree? If you don't put in the time and effort, you won't get very far. It's just simple as that. Now, looking at this graph that we see here, we have thinking, time, and effort. And now we see in red the big outcomes and actions. And then we see the blue, small outcomes and actions. What else is important to setting and meeting goals? Anyone would like to answer that? What else is important to setting and meeting your goals? Can also pop it into the chat. Behavior and attitude. All right, you're almost there. You're getting warmer. Behavior and attitude. What determines behavior and attitude on a day-to-day basis? They need to be attainable. Absolutely. Anyone else like to try? Hi.
Mindset.
And I got it. There it is. Mindset, thinking big, having your mindset. That is right. You don't get big outcomes from thinking small or not thinking outside the box. When we talk about thinking here, we're talking about thinking big when setting goals and thinking big on how to reach those goals, really thinking big on how to reach those goals. Life is usually 90% mental, 10% physical. If you don't feel like doing something, or you say, my mind is made up, well, 90% of the time, you're not going to do anything, right? So it's just little that 10% of actually going out and actually doing it. The 10% is the actions, right? And then the 90% is the mindset, is thinking big. You have to ask yourself, what are you doing? How do you do it? Who are you doing it with, right? These answers can limit your outcome, or they can propel you forward. They can either limit your outcome or propel you forward. As we talked about in a couple slides ago, your big why, knowing your big why. And a lot of you said family. Okay. So looking at the chart, we see big outcomes and the actions, and we see the thinking increases. And small outcomes and actions is time and effort. You want to make sure that you don't fall into that trap of, again, being booked and busy, and then now your wheels are spinning. And however, now you're just burnt out. And if you were just intentional about that time, you will have so much more to give back to your family. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and I think to go back to what Jack was saying about the Kevin Hart quote, right? If you look at it, if you think big and you couple that with putting in the time and the effort, okay, those two things together put you on that trajectory towards big outcomes. If either one of those is limited or is not thinking on a grand scale or is not putting in the time and effort in a big way, it's going to lead to the smaller outcomes. You're not going to get anywhere close to where you want to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Darren. Now, how big is your box? All right. How big is your box? And we see this is from the One Thing book on page 88. And now we take a look at the graph and we see now we have a little more to work with. We see the what, how, and who. We see the what, how, and who at a 90-degree angle. And now we see the actions, small outcomes. And now we see another box around that. Now, the question that you need to ask is on the left-hand side, of course. How big is your box as we see the box here on the graph? If you're not thinking big, you're creating an artificial ceiling of achievement. You're limiting yourself. That's a limiting belief. And we're going to talk about that a little later. That's your limiting belief right there, right? There are only so many hours in a day, 24 hours in a day. You hear a lot of people say, well, I have the same 24 hours as you do, or how do you do it? How are you able to achieve your goals? How are you able to knock those goals out and just seem like you're just chilling in Miami with no stress and you had all that stuff to take care of? Well, there's so many hours in a day and there's only so much that one person can do in those hours. That's why we have to be very, very intentional. So another time, for example, for myself, being very transparent here, it's a safe space because I believe Ignite and Bold are safe spaces. So one of the limited beliefs that I had before was actually a couple of years ago, I started off with Keller Williams here in 2016. I started off at the front desk. I actually was a temp. I was just there on assignment because it was the front desk was a revolving door, especially if you have 500 agents in your market center. Of course, it may have someone go crazy, right? And 2 years after that, in 2018, I was at a point where I felt like I was hitting that box. I was hitting that artificial ceiling of achievement where I knew I wanted to grow, but where did I want to go, right? And my biggest thing was, do I work on scripts? Do I become an agent? Do I work on becoming a TL? Do I work on becoming a coach? Maybe coaching is good. I mean, people like to talk to me and I love people. Why not? And, it's just great stuff to do, right? And I love helping and growing people's business. And my biggest limiting belief was that, well, what's next? Do I have what it takes to go to the next level? Am I going to stay at the front? I love the front desk. There's no knock to it. However, I would love to grow and see what this company has to offer for myself, for my personal growth, as well as for my business. And I thought that I didn't have what it takes. I think that there was a agent that came in, a commercial agent that came into the office, and he had kind of a dialogue and a request to make it seem like, hey, this is how I see you, right? This is where you're going to be. And this is probably what you're going to do. And that's a little condescending and it didn't feel too good. I'll admit that it didn't feel good. However, I knew I had to dig deep and really think about my what, my how, my who. What was next? How am I going to get there? And who do I need to talk to? And who do I need to be on the phone with in order to help me achieve my goals? So I didn't think small anymore. And I said, I'm going to leap from this front desk. But who knew at that time I was taking Bold in that October, just a couple weeks after that, we were getting sent to Austin for Labs Roadshow. And here we are, right? Who knew that we will become a technology company? Who knew that I will be able to live within my passion and grow businesses through technology? I had to first identify my what, my how, my who, and know that I need to remove my limiting belief in order to think bigger. Many agents limit themselves right away. Maybe they don't call their sphere. Maybe they don't like picking up the phone, right, for 2-3 hours, and just hopes business comes their way. Everyone just magically knows that you're in real estate, right? And that you are looking for anyone who's looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate. Maybe they aren't systematic about their lead generation. They don't have their leads in command. They don't have any tags, right? We talked about tags earlier this morning. Maybe they're not tags inside of their database. Maybe they refuse to learn scripts. Wow, that's mind-blowing. Maybe they refuse to learn scripts that will make their job easier and more efficient. Most of those agents don't stay in the business because they treat it as a business. Wow. Most agents don't stay in the business because they treat it as a business, or they burn out because they aren't seeing a good return on their time and effort. Like, I want to be able to just stand outside and say, sellers, where are you? And then they just kind of flock to me from their listings or their houses, right? No, we have to be very, very intentional. We have to learn these scripts to make our jobs easier. We have to automate our databases, make sure we're in command on a day-to-day basis, make sure that we're having our contacts with tags, making sure that we are entering in our task, because remember, it will remind you not only in command, but on your command app. All right, had to plug that there. Make sure that you're having your task inside of your command.
Yeah, one of the things too, when you are a brand new agent, one of the things that comes into play here is confidence. And how many of you actually have very low confidence right now, especially as a new agent, right? It's only natural, because honestly, if you take those courses, all they do is they tell you about what not to do. They scare the hell out of you with the rules and the laws and the regulations, but they don't teach you that this is what you need to do to grow your business. So that's why we have this class. But the one thing that you have to remember is don't let your confidence limit your thinking and limit your action ability. All right. You need to go out there and understand that you know more than 90% of the people that are out there. All right. Have that confidence and go out there and be able to have those conversations and be willing to sit there and say, listen, you know something, that's a great question. I don't have the answer, but I'm going to get back to you. All right. I'm going to get back to you and I'll let you know what that is. And that's what you have to do. Just go out there. It doesn't matter if there's one question you don't know. You're going to know the other things. You're going to be able to hold a conversation. The way that you're going to get that confidence is through the experience of talking to people. All right. Think about it this way. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Right? How many of us have heard that quote before? What would you do if you weren't afraid? Well, probably the sky's the limit at that point. The other way to look at that too is like, what would you do if you didn't know what you didn't know? Right? There's a story. I actually found it when one of the classes I had taken a while ago here at Keller Williams, and it actually revolves around the book, The One Thing. But there's actually a gentleman, his name was George Danzig, and he was taking a college course. He was a statistics student. And one day he walked into class late and he noticed that there were a couple of problems that were on the board. All right. So what he did was he wrote the problems down in his book and then left class and went home, did the homework, the 2 problems that were on the board, sent them to his professor and apologized and said, hey, listen, I'm sorry, but I did the homework. Here you go. Well, the professor stopped him in class the next day and said, those weren't homework problems. Those were 2 problems that were labeled as being unsolvable because nobody could figure out how to solve for the equation. And you just did them thinking that they were homework, right? Now, he said too, if I'd known that the problems were not homework, but they were in fact 2 famous unsolved problems in statistics, I probably wouldn't have thought about, doing them. I wouldn't have thought positively. I would have become discouraged. I never would have even attempted it. So he didn't know that they weren't unsolvable. Went in, solved them, like no big deal. World's better off for it right now. So we have to have that mindset. Like, look, doesn't matter. Go out there, think big, take the big actions. Whatever happens, happens. Either way, you're going to learn from it, right? And that's the best way. That's the best thing to do. And you're going to grow your business very quickly if you do that.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that, Darren. And I'd rather fail forward than to just stay stagnant of where I am. Don't want to drop the ball. Don't want to drop the ball and just cry about it. No one's going to go to your pity party or RSVP for it. You just pick your ball up and then we'll all meet each other on the other side.
Yep. Nobody's coming to save you. It's up to you.
No, exactly. I love that quote. No one's coming to save you but you. I know you all heard that on social media. All right, so we are going to turn to page 3 in your participant guide. If you're following along, if you print it out or you have your PDF, we're going to turn to page 3 of the participant guide. And now we're going to take about 10 minutes to do an activity. Envision your big life, my big life. Okay, so we're going to do an activity for about 10 minutes on the big life. Once you have that vision in place, then you can set meaningful goals that will bring you closer to that particular life that you know that you want to live by design. Once you have the goals, we can talk about how to reach them. And it all begins with your vision. So now if you're looking at the rectangles on your participant guide, on each of the 5 rectangles. All right, awesome. Darren just popped the student resources. If you don't have it, you can go ahead and click that link inside of the chat on the drive and navigate the participant guide. We are on page 3. On each of the 5 rectangles, write a person or cause that you care about. All right, on each of the 5 rectangles, you're going to write a person or cause that you care about. What would you like to do for that person or cause? How would you like to be active for each person or each cause? And repeat for each rectangle. Okay, for example, maybe you want to be in the care for your parents as they age. I know that's my situation at my age now. It's very humbling. My parents are now in their 70s. All right, so maybe I want to care for my parents and make sure that they're good, check up on them, come through, cook for them every now and then. And then, of course, maybe another reason maybe to send your kids to school without any debt, right? Or pay for a vacation for you and your best friend. And it's okay. It's a safe space. You can, if you say your best friend is yourself and you want to take yourself on a vacation, that's cool as well. All right. For a cause, perhaps you like to be named to supporter for your local animal shelter. I know I have a niece who is studying to be a veterinarian, and one of my goals for her is to buy some land or commercial land for her so that she can have her own rescue ranch in the near future. By the time she's 30 years old, right now she's 21. Okay, so that could be another thing, right? Or you can serve on a board or of a charity that you may like in your area or in your neighborhood. Could be any of the 2, right? So you can be one of the people you care about. Remember, if you want to take yourself on a vacation, that is okay. You deserve it. Perhaps your big life includes prioritizing your health so that you have more time and energy to give and paying off student loans. There are no wrong answers. Remember, this is your big life. This is what you envision for you, not anyone else's vision, but your vision. Include an estimate on how much each will cost. Now you see here an example, Sarah and Hunter get through school debt free. So Sarah and Hunter in this example are the children. And now we have the goal to get through school debt free. And now we're looking at the how much the estimated cost will be for that. And we see it's $120,000 for that example. So you'll also write how much that would cost. Now in the center circle where we see the 364,000, quantify what this big life requires financially. How much would these things cost? Remember, some parts of the big life will likely require time as well as money. Time is money, money is time, right? All right. So as business owners, you will need to budget time in terms of money as well. So that's why we want to look at that there. What will you need to make to be able to spend more time doing the things that you love? What is that number for you? It may not be the similar numbers here, so that is fine. What does that number look like for you? All right, remember the rectangles represent your big life. The center circle is your goal. The rectangles represent your big life and the center circle is your goal. So we have, what is the time, Eastern Standard Time? We're at 9:44. So let's take about 10 minutes to write this in. And we will come back around 9:54. All right, again, the rectangles represent your big life. As you see the example, we have either the cause or person. And then we have the goal inside of the rectangle. And then we see how much will each cost. All right. And then we also see at the bottom, mom and dad, pay off mortgage. That's definitely a goal of mine. Pay off mortgage for your parents. That can also be a goal. So let's take about 10 minutes to fill this out.
Yeah,
And
Jack, just one question in the chat room. Amanda had asked,
Sure.
is this your goal to make in a year or just to accomplish the goals? You know, the middle circle, the dollar amount. I would say that whatever it takes for all of those rectangles, I should say, to be paid off, whatever that number is, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, 3 years, something like that, whatever you want. But these are basically going to be, you know, in total, all of the things that you want to accomplish.
Absolutely. Great question, Amanda. Great question. Thank you, Darren. All right. If you have any additional, no problem, Amanda. If you have any additional questions while we're doing this exercise, feel free to unmute yourself or raise your digital hand or pop into the chat. If you're not aware of how to raise your digital hand, you will find it inside of more in your settings inside of your toolbar in Zoom, where you will stop your video and mute yourself. You will find that inside of the reactions tab. All right, let's begin. All right, everyone, welcome back. Welcome back. All right, if you, everybody has their coffee and their tea and anything else, right? Let's go. So any ahas, anyone would like to share, either raising your digital hand, unmuting yourself, or popping into the chat? Any ahas about this particular exercise, or who would like to share what they entered in for their goals? Come on, I know we didn't just sit here 10 minutes and everybody just kind of twiddle their thumbs with no goals, right? All right, Karen, you have your hand raised.
Mine's easy for me. I hate my landlord. I need to buy a house and it has to be cash since I now do real estate full time. So I am saying in a year from today, I need to make $1 million because it's thinking big. And I live in Massachusetts, so houses average are about 600,000. And I want a little bit extra just for a down payment for a home for my kids.
Wow.
I know.
You said something about your landlord. You say you cannot stand your landlord.
Can't stand them.
Wouldn't you agree that could be a part of your why?
It is a part of my why.
I really hope that you're not living with your in-laws, because when you say something like that, I just, don't know where to go with that. But hey, it's tough,
No,
tough situation.
we're not related. He
Okay.
got divorced and moved back into the two-family where I am, and he's a real pain in the butt.
Mm.
Mm,
Well,
Mm.
more incentive. There you go. More
there you
incentive.
go. Absolutely. And then and then another part of your why is your children. So
Yes.
thank you so much for sharing, Karen. All right, Jacqueline, you have your hand raised.
All right, I unmuted myself. Okay. So, yeah, mine's kind of not like a set year to, it's probably like a year to 3-year plan. So my husband and I, we bought a house, 2-family house. It'll actually be 4 years this month. So we live in the one apartment and we rent out the other. And we just took advantage of these, like, super, super low interest rates. So we have this great rate going on right now. So we're using the money that we get for rent and adding that and making like double payments, sometimes triple payments if we can. So a big part of my goal is to pay this house down. And so that's on there. And then I also put like $10,000 in order to get the house ready to either rent it, we basically I either want to rent out both of these apartments or sell it. But I'm leaning towards I want to rent out both of them because this house has been very good to us and we've lived in it long enough now where we know where the issues are. So we need to have our kitchen redone a little bit, not like anything crazy. It just needs like a new floor, a new configuration. It already has appliances. So I put like about $10,000 price tag on that. And then when we make a decision about all of that stuff, this is in like the 2-year part. We're going to probably buy a property with my parents as they're getting older and they're going to need like an in-law type apartment type place. So they need to sell their house and they don't want they don't they don't want to move into a nursing home. They don't want to move into assisted living place, but it's getting to a point where my dad is going to need something more than my mom can provide. So we would like to, obviously we're gonna have to assess the situation then, but our goal is to buy a house with them, keep our 2-family and rent it, and then have this other property where it feels like it's ours, but my parents are living there in their own separate area. And then I definitely need to start investing in my own retirement. My husband has like his own retirement things that are, he insists are our retirement things, but I need to contribute to my own retirement portion because I handle the money and he just doesn't understand. We're not going to be able to live off of that because it's meant for one person. So, and then the last thing I have is I have these student loan payments that I need to pay off. That's about $40,000. So if I really crack down and start making some payments, then in 2 years, I could probably pay that off. Which is paying maybe like an extra 20,000 in interest. So those are the main, that's my 2 to 3 year goals right there.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah,
Karen?
so I think the number in the middle ended up being only like $250,000.
Okay.
But that also would change, depending on how much I'm able to put into my retirement fund, which is probably going to be based on a percentage, and I'm coming in doing this as a dual career. So I'm a hairstylist. Like I do that about 3 or 4 days a week. And I've been working at Keller Williams the rest of the time. My mentor is awesome. And I've already done 1 transaction and I would have 2 transactions, except for I have this insane title issue going back 60 years on this property. So Otherwise, that would have already been done. So things have been, I've been learning a lot though. So it's been good, Yeah, it's hard. Like the first time I took Ignite, I think I was like doing this exercise and I was like, how the heck am I ever gonna make that much money? That's crazy. But now you can I can do it and feel like I'm actually doing like, oh, I can realistically do that,
Good for you. Good for you, Jacqueline. Very good.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you for your transparency. And the beautiful thing between the two of you is that the biggest why of it all is your family and yourselves. That is
Right.
your big why. And
It's your-
remember, absolutely. And
Sure.
you said it was hard, but it's definitely attainable. Now that you're thinking big, you from the first time you took Ignite to now you're thinking big. And that's going to happen more times as you take Ignite over and over again, right? You're
Yeah.
a different person than you were each time you're taking Ignite.
And I have to give my mentor like a huge shout out because she just she really helps me to not get discouraged and see that there's solutions to every problem. So, and trust me, with this property I've been selling since July. I've sold it twice. Our closing date was supposed to be October 22nd, and it's been in the lawyer's hands since then. And I've managed to keep this buyer holding on, which has been not easy. And it's like, but so like my the mentorship program, what that Keller Williams does. If I didn't have my mentor, I probably would have given up on this. I would have been lost,
Wow.
I think that's really important that they do that. And I hope everybody that does have their, like mentor, if you don't have the right mentor, ask for another one. There's no shame in that. You know what I mean? But you need to find somebody that works with you that understands, she understands that, I'm doing 2 jobs and this is the rate I'm working at. And she keeps me motivated at that rate, so it's really, I think it's really important and it's a great resource. So.
Awesome stuff. And gratitude to your mentor for being there for you and also being your accountability partner. That is an amazing and powerful thing. Jennifer, thank you so much, Jacqueline. I appreciate that.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Jennifer, you have your hand raised?
Oh, yes. I just wanted to share, not so much like the goals, because I was going to say that 10 minutes is definitely not enough time because I'm trying to, I think the challenge with this exercise is kind of just breaking it down and finding a number. So I haven't got to that. Obviously, I definitely wrote down the people I do want to help and my motivation and stuff. But I think like the aha moment I took from this exercise is, I have like a top 5, top 6 of people that, you automatically think of when you think of something like this exercise. But then it kind of, it makes you think about like even deeper, like more extended family that you actually kind of think you want to help as well in the way, along the way. So I think it just kind of opens up your horizon and gives you more reasons, like when you're actually writing it down, like, even right now, I have about 6 people, like immediate family and stuff, of course. But then as I want to expand this graph, it's like, oh, I want to help my cousin too. Or, oh, I would like to, stuff like that. And like I said, it's kind of tough just figuring out the numbers right now. But so far, I just have like kind of mainly what I want to do. And I think the numbers is going to come next. But just really being able to like help other people invest in their dreams when they're ready, like my son or something like that. I want to have the residual income, that will help them invest in their own dreams when they have them, So I just wanted to share that part.
That's good.
But I haven't got to numbers yet.
All good. All good. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for sharing. And the beautiful thing about that is, remember, God, family, and then business. The little common theme that we've been hearing this morning throughout the session is family. Our big why is our family, whether it be our immediate family, our extended family. Okay. Amanda also put into the chat, She said she like to help out her niece get through real estate school and licensing process mentally and financially. Then she would like to pay off half of her nephew's first car. Niece and nephew, very important. I have many nieces and nephews as well. I've been an uncle since I was 4, do the math. So it's like, hey, I'm doing this for my nieces and nephew. I'm doing this for my aunt, my uncle, my grandparents, whoever. You're making an impact and you're identifying, zeroing in on your big why. Roberto also added, visualizing goals is very powerful. Keep this sheet and make sure you add it to your vision board. I know you may have it. If you haven't done your 2022 vision board, you are about 7 days late. All right. So think about it. If we add this sheet to your vision board, visualizing your goals will be very powerful. You'll see your images and everything that you cut out. If you cut out a Bentley, if you cut out a beach house, if you cut out just being the words debt free, even seeing it on your board and visualizing debt free can be very powerful. Roberto, thank you so much for that. Kirsten also added she wants to renovate her kitchen to 2 small bathrooms, 2-year goal with $25,000 annually, family vacation. That'll be around $10,000, and support 2 teen daughters. There's family again, right? 2 teen daughters, education and future, roughly around the 200K mark over the next 10 years. So Kirsten she has become, thank you for sharing. She has become very intentional about not only the goal, but the time and the number. The number may come later. However, identifying the goals or the know why is the very first step, right? It's the very first step, and the numbers will come, but that's the very first step, and it will empower you right here. Doesn't that feel good? Awesome. And yes, I want to give gratitude to Jacqueline. Amanda said, congrats on your perseverance. You will close. All right. Anyone else has anything to add? Darren, you have anything to add as well?
No, I think that's good. That's good. I mean, you've got a good representation of people and what they're thinking, and you notice how everybody is different. And it doesn't matter what your amount is versus somebody else's, right? Because what may seem small to you may be big to somebody else, and vice versa. This is all about you and what you're going to do. And this is going to help you to maintain that motivation. As you said before, motivation is fleeting. And if this is something that can continue to inspire you, keep it up in front of you and look at it every single day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great stuff. Great stuff. Speaking of you, now that you have a vision and a goal, let's look at what it means for you to achieve that goal through real estate. So we're going to start understanding your goal. Now, the first thing you need to understand, of course, is how your commissions work. Many agents get the check for their first closing. Everybody remember their first closing? Think about it, visualize it, right? And pocket it.
Yet, if you haven't had it yet, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, Jack. If you haven't had it,
no, you're good.
Listen to this. Absolutely. If you have, great. If you haven't, you should be listening to this. So,
all right, Amanda says never closed yet. And this will come, we will manifest. This will come to you. Karen says, I wish. We're going to change I wish to I will. All right. We're going to change I wish to I will because you will close. Right. So think about it. Many new agents get the check for their first closing and then they pocket it all. Of course, an exciting amount of money like, oh, I closed. Oh, great. Look at this check. I'm pocketing it all. I've worked hard for this. All right. And then getting trouble down the line. Of course, why do you get in trouble down the line? Because think about where does all that money go and how much you'll be actually towards your goal, right? These numbers are very general and are meant as only as an example. Actual amounts will vary, of course, but especially if you're on a team, if you have to break it down. Right. Kirsten says IRS. Yes, they will come knocking. Shout out to Uncle Sam. All right. Now, think about this. Now, look at this. It says on the chart, or if you're looking on the screen here, it says, where does it go? We see the other agent. That's one thing to keep in mind. Your market center. Business expenses. Of course, we were talking about today, we're setting goals. So if you have set your 2022 goals in command, you know, one of the first things is your business makeup. The business makeup between how many of your business is listing focus or buyer focus, right? And then what are the operating costs and expenses within that? right? And lastly, your take home. And shout out to Kirsten again. Don't forget about your taxes. Please don't. All right.
Yeah, Jack, if you want to do if you click on it, you'll actually go through the process again. So just to reinforce this, okay, like Jack just said, all right. And this is also a great objection handler for a listing appointment. If you are talking to a client or potential client and they're asking you, well, 6%, why have to give you 6% or whatever the number is? All right. This is a great way to let them know that, hey, this isn't all going to use, right? So you click it once, you see right here, half of that money, half the 6%, that goes to the other agent, right? That goes to the other side of the transaction, right? So now if we click it again, you're going to see that, hey, I'm left with just the other half. Now, of that other half, a third of that goes to my broker, goes to my market center. All right. So I don't even see that. Great visualization of how to do this is if you have 5 $1 bills and you have 4 quarters. So you have $6. You take 3 of those dollars, you put it aside. You take another dollar of the 3 or the $2 and the 4 quarters that's left with you, take that $1, put it aside. That represents the amount that goes to the market center. And if we click it again, okay, we've got our business expenses. So you take another one of those dollars and you put it aside. That's for marketing. That's for promotion. That's for anything that you do in order to get that listing sold. So now you're left with the 4 quarters, right? So if we click it again, we've got our portion. And of those 4 quarters, you take 2 of those quarters, you can say, yeah, to Jack's point and to Kirsten's point, that goes to Uncle Sam and the IRS. So what are you left with? Those 2 shiny quarters out of a total of $6. But this is the way that you've got to think about this. This is how you have to visualize it, because you get that check, it doesn't all go to you. And better yet, if you get to a position where you're capping and you're getting 100% of that commission check, you definitely don't want to keep all of it for yourself. Okay, that could be a problem. So.
Absolutely. And that's a great point, Darren. And another thing to add is you want to get very intentional about making sure that you're putting money away regularly for your taxes, right? You don't want to have a year's worth of work wiped away because you failed to plan. If you fail to, shout out to, I don't know if you all have seen the movie King Richard with Will Smith. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Remember that quote right there is one that they live by. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Yep. Right. We have our Jacqueline. Yeah. Go ahead, Jacqueline.
Oh, sorry about that. So I just wanted to clarify, because so you're when you get your commission, obviously, so half of it will go to the other agent. So that half is gone, right? So now we're down to half. And then the market center will take its portion, correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then your mentor will get their portion
Well,
until you're no
part of
longer,
that. Yeah. Yep.
until you're no longer. And then after that, that's when you pay taxes. And that's the breakdown for the most part.
Yeah, pretty much if you look at it, it's like, let's say that you've got 6 pieces to it. All right.
Yeah.
So it's 6%. 3% or 3 of those will go to the other side. So you don't even see any of that.
Right.
3 that's left to you. Okay. A third of that will go to your market center and also probably your mentor, depending on how that is. And again, these are generalizations. It might be a little plus or minus, but still, it's just more for visual representation, right? Then a third of that will go do business expenses. All right. You got to do things on a day in and day out basis to keep your business going, to sell the listing, to do things like that, to stay in business. And then you're left with what can be considered the income portion, which part of that goes to the IRS.
Part of that goes to the IRS.
Right.
Now, as far as business expenses, my mentor said that like Keller Williams sends you like your yearly thing where of all the stuff that you paid for, like your MLS dues and stuff like that.
That might be specific to your area. I know really for our market center, all they do is they send out the 1099 at the end of the year, which basically says, okay, this is what we paid you in commissions.
Right.
So independent contractor, it's up to you to work with your accountant on that and have all of that in line. So definitely get yourself a good accountant who can help you with that.
Yeah. This is the first year I have to get an accountant, because just between everything with just adding this just one more thing, self-employed, to the list is just too much for,
Right. And Amanda actually has a question in there too about a specific account or place to put your tax money. What I would say is just take whatever account that you're using. And me personally, I always say set up a separate account totally for anything real estate related. Within that account, make another sub account or even a second account. And anytime you get a commission check that comes in, you take a portion of that, put it into the other account, and that's strictly for taxes. And at the end of the year, everything
Right.
is nice and clean, and you've got that money put aside for that.
Yeah, so basically my husband and I made a decision that we would have like another separate savings account where we would put in the money that would be going towards taxes, although, you know, it's not like we couldn't just put it all in the savings account because, you know, not all that, but either way, you know, we decided to do it just that way this year. It's our first year, you know, so I don't know how much is going to be taken out of this check. I mean, I can guess, but I'm going to put half of it in that savings account. So
Perfect. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
yeah, and then then we'll say what happens since I just have only one check this year. So
Good.
And then I'll be able to
Start.
see how much I can write off against that. You know, that's my
Yeah, that's the discussion with the accountant that you have. to have.
exactly. Yeah.
Good. Perfect.
All right. Thank you for going over that again.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for sharing.
Of course. Overshare sometime.
All good. This is a safe space, remember? All right, so now we are at the point where we are going to get real. Okay, let's get real. So now these are the examples that we see here. So now you can get to the let's get real on your participant guide. So you can turn the page until you get to your let's get real chart, where you see average sales price and your average GCI, which stands for gross commission income. Now, within this particular activity, our objective is to get real about tying your business to your goals. We can have very ambitious goals, maybe not so ambitious and very, very realistic that we can actually nail together. And you want to make sure that you tie your business into these goals. We're going to figure it out together based on how much money you'll receive from a transaction, how many transactions you'll need this year to meet your goal. Right? We're going to get real about our goals here. Now, first, we're going to estimate the average sales price and our average gross commission income, our average GCI.
It was
our market.
awesome. Just went down.
What was that?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself.
Oh, no, it's all good. All right. And then as you experience selling more homes, you'll be able to estimate an average sales price point and GCI that fits your transactions more accurately. Okay, so in your market, in the Northeastern market, the average sales price for a home is, anyone like to share?
If you're not sure, this would be a good question to pose to either your productivity coach, your TL, your ATL, your broker. That way they can actually give you the information accurately from what they know.
Absolutely. Great point, Darren. Great point. Reach out to your leadership for that as well.
Yep.
And then for your market, the average gross commission income, the average GCI per transaction is, and then you'll also enter that inside of your chart here. So Karen added 850,000 Boston Metro. 850,000 for Boston Metro. All right, so you'll add that in. And then don't forget to add in your average GCI from here.
Yeah, our average in our area is around 240, 250. But again, it all depends on where you are. Obviously, depending on the location, if you take a look at Boston Metro versus where we are, big difference. So you want to be clear in terms of, or somewhat clear based on the region that you're in.
Absolutely. And Matthew also shared in the chat 290,000 where there are. All right. And Karen also said, my mother lives in Windsor, Darren. Okay. Awesome.
There you go. Nice.
There you go.
Local. Nice. I like it.
Then also another thing on the next activity on the Let's Get Real, we also have market center company dollar, which is your GCI times your percentage, and then where your cap is at. All right, Darren, Jacqueline also has in the chat, she says, where do you find this info daily?
You talking about the gross commission income or the?
How much the average price for your house in your, like,
That's something
go
that
on
it's not going to change daily, but if you actually talk to, again, if you talk to your productivity coach, your team leader,
Right.
your assistant team leader, your broker, they'll give you a general idea of where it's at.
But where would I find the information if I just want to look it up on my own?
You know, maybe even Google, a lot of times, or
Yeah,
maybe your mentor, talk to your mentor, that person
Yeah.
might have it.
Okay.
But it's not going to fluctuate too much unless you have spikes one way or another.
Right.
So it's not something you could check out daily, and you just want an average. It's not anything that has to be precise. You just want something that's generally close.
So
and
those
if you
numbers
could-
probably come out monthly somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, there are market trend reports that the leadership group actually has access to, and they have information in there. So
Oh.
again, when you talk to the leadership group, they should be able to tell you.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Can't you look it up on the like just the market center where you can like look just at like Keller Williams Evolution and see what their average is on the MLS?
You could, yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. Or you could even do a general search on MLS if you're in a particular town, particular county, something like that. But here's the thing though, too, again, this doesn't have to be scientific where you've got to be spot on right to the dollar. All right. This is just more of a generalization. And if you're not sure, underestimate it slightly rather than overestimate it, because what that's going to do is it's going to give you a number that even if you're coming close to that number, chances are you're still going to hit that target. So it doesn't have to be precise.
Absolutely. And Karen also added, and thank you for that. Karen also added in the chat, you can do that general search inside of MLS. And another cool thing you can do within Command is you can also access this information if you're utilizing a landing page and you add the Market Snap widget to your landing page. If you are lead generating, they will also ask you for the postal code. And then you'll be able to search through the subdivisions within that postal code that you're familiar with. And you'll be able to also do the same thing when you're creating a social post for your neighborhood videos. They'll also have that information as well. So a plethora of avenues that you can go and get this information. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, so on this particular slide, remember, we're getting real about our goals. Now we're going to figure out how much of your commission is going to the market center. Remember, we have our examples on the slide to give you kind of an idea what it will look like. Of course, it will be privy to whatever market area or the market snap data is in your area. Now for this example on this slide, we're going to multiply the GCI, as we see here at the top, by your market center's company dollar. This number is capped at, and if you do not know your market center's cap, you can reach out to your leadership, specifically either your MCA or your TL. Once you cap, you don't have to pay any more company dollar to your market center until after the next anniversary date. I know Karen mentioned it inside of the chat a little earlier. You will pay to the company dollar until you actually cap, after your next anniversary date. Next is your franchise. In the next box, we have our franchise royalty, which is generally 6% of your GCI. Again, your franchise royalty is usually generally 6% of your GCI. This is capped at $3,000. Now add those together to get the maximum amount of money you will pay to the market center in the course of a year. So Jennifer has a question in the chat. So capping happens every 2 years? No, every year. Amanda answered that, every year.
Mhm. Yep.
And then you'll add that together and you'll get your total here. So in this particular example, we have 27,000 and our franchise royalty capped at 6%. And then our total is 30,000 for this example. So as you're following along, go ahead. I'm sorry. There.
No, go ahead, Jack. Go ahead, finish it up. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say in this example, remember we added the 27,000, which is our market center company dollar. And then we see our equation and then also the franchise royalty. So we add the market center company dollar to the franchise royalty. Okay, Darren, you had something to add?
Yeah, no, I mean, everybody that comes to Keller Williams, you come in on your own fiscal year. So everybody has their own anniversary date. And on that anniversary date is when you reset. But you have those 12 months in order to cap, to get to the point where you're capping. And listen, if you don't do it in your first year, that's fine. It's not a big deal. Then you know what you do? You're going to get momentum. Second year, you're going to grow. Third year, you're going to grow. At some point, you will cap as long as you're consistent with the activities. So every closing that you have, just for purposes of this exhibit, there's a portion that goes to you, and then there's a portion that goes to the market center and KWRI, which is the franchise royalty. But there's limits on it, okay? You're never going to pay more than what the numbers are for your capping, okay? And then the royalty, which is universal at $3,000, all right? And that's where that comes in. So for every closing you have, you're going to have that split until you cap, all right? And that's where these numbers are coming from, just for everybody's purposes here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Darren. As we're moving along, now we're going to look at our transaction goals. Transaction goals. So we see we have A through F, and we have net income goal. So now we're going to get to the point of all of this. We're going to find out how many transactions you'll need to do this year in order to meet your goals. Now we're going to get very intentional here. So let's take a look at it. So A is your annual net income goal, meaning how much money do you want to make this year before taxes and operating expenses? Okay, how much money do you want to make this year before taxes and your operating expenses? In this example here, we have 100,000. Next is B. B is the company dollar and royalty cap. This is the number we came up with on the last slide, remember? So now we have the 30,000 from the 27,000 plus the 3,000. This is the number that we came up with. And what is the maximum amount you can expect to pay to your market center? What is the maximum amount you can expect to pay to your market center? Now let's take a look at C, which is your business expenses. C is your annual business expenses. This includes salaries. So if you have an admin, or if you have a transaction coordinator or EA. This also includes most lead generation. If you're paying for your paid ad campaigns inside of Command for Facebook and more. And your marketing expenses for your listings, for your business, as well as education. That's another example for if you're paying for Bold, if you're paying for a workshop or anything that you want to invest in and learning for your business to reach your goals.
When you're first starting off, you want to make sure that those are as small as possible. Okay, minimize the business expenses. It may not be as high as 50 grand when it comes to everything that you have here, but for the most part, just minimize them as much as possible until you start to get the revenue coming in to cover those.
Absolutely. And Darren, and to Darren's point, this is just average example numbers. So this is kind of like ballpark numbers of someone who's running their business efficiently and a high level. So this definitely will be you. However, again, you want to start off very, very small when it comes to at least the business expenses. That's very, very important. Now, D is your total GCI. So remember, D is the sum of A, the net income goal, B, the company dollar and royalty cap, as well as C, your business expenses. This is your total GCI. So this is A, B, and C added together. This is how much money you'll need to make to pay the market center and still hit your goal.
what we're doing is we're taking your net income goal and we're adding back all the things that you're going to have to pay out so that we can gross the 180,000 so that when all is said and done and everything comes out, you're going to be left with 100,000.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And E is your average GCI. D is your average GCI, excuse me, your total GCI. E is your average GCI. E is your average GCI per transaction, the first calculation we did. That's where we got that 9,000 in the example from the very, very first slide of this example. And finally, we're going to move over to F, which is the annual transaction goal. And this is how many transactions you'll need to hit your goal based on your average GCI. To get this number and to achieve this number and identify it, we'll need to divide D by E. So we're dividing the 180,000 in this example by the 9,000. And the total amount we get there, or our sum, will be 20. Annual transaction goal. So we're looking to do 20 within our year. If you need any help identifying these numbers in your market and for your business of where you are now, you can always reach out to the productivity coach in your market center and set up a time to sit down with your productivity coach to go over these numbers. Now, as we're going over these numbers, are there any questions or ahas or any thoughts that you all would like to share, either in the chat or in real life? Got some head nods? No, everybody's good. We're good. We're great. Okay. Awesome.
No, good.
All right, Darren, we're going to set our goals in command.
Yep, absolutely. Do you want me to run through this?
Sure.
All right. I'm actually going to open up command. All right. Now, you don't have to follow along in command. If you actually have it open, you can do that as well. I'm going to open up a window. I'm going to get in and show everybody what this is going to look like here. So now this will be recorded. So if we go through it and it seems somewhat fast, don't worry about it. You're going to be able to go back and check out how we go about doing this, but it's fairly easy. It follows a very similar format to what Jack had just shown when we did it, through the exhibits that were on there. So can everybody see my screen here now?
Yes.
We're good? All right, perfect. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go into the report function right here. Okay, so when you click on the red KW and it opens up the applets, we're going into the report feature here. Now you see there's a lot of different information in there, and obviously we're going to be focusing on the goals portion of this. So when we click on the goals, it's then going to bring us into a visual that tracks our production and our dollar goals. All right, so we've got production goals and dollar goals, a financial goal, if you call it. All right, we just walked through the process of identifying what our financial goal was, right? In that exhibit, we wanted to do 100,000. So like, okay, well, what does that work out in terms of production? And we ended up with the 20 houses, the 20 closings that we have, 20 families that we're going to help, however you want to identify it. But you'll see right here that it's a much longer process. All right. This goal pipeline that you see here takes us from beginning, when we actually just have been given a name of somebody who's potentially looking to buy or sell, all the way through the process to where we actually have a closing with that particular client. So this is a full pipeline, right? We have a lead. We may not have spoken to them, but once we do have a conversation, they become a contact.
Hang up
Right,
or press 1 for more options.
Hey.
Okay, all right. Well, we could press 1 for more options. We'll just continue on from here. So now they're a contact. We've had the real estate conversation. All right, perfect. We know where they are in the real estate cycle. Maybe they're ready now. Maybe they're saying at some point in the future, but we've had that conversation. So if they're ready now, we're going to set an appointment. And you're going to realize that with a lot of the people that you set appointments with, most of them will keep them, but there's going to be a little bit of fallout. Maybe something comes up, they're not able to keep it, something happens, whatever it is. So we're going to keep track of those appointments that we actually do keep. At those appointments where we're meeting with our clients, all right, do we get signed agreement? Maybe, maybe not. But if we do, that just continues the process. And whether we're putting in an offer or it's a listing that we have, okay, eventually it's going to go under contract and we'll have a closing. And this is basically your goal pipeline. This is going to give you the numbers that you need in order to hit your goals. And you'll see underneath here too that we actually have a way to track our profitability. And there's a few other charts which we're going to get to in a moment. But the way that we want to go about doing this, and this is really something that everybody, if you have not done it yet, you want to either do it today or this weekend so that you can have, again, the pathway on what you want to do for business this year. So we want to make sure that the drop-down box is on 2022, and we're going to click on goal settings. We're going to go in, we're actually going to set our goals, all right? And as we scroll down, we just want to get started. We're going to go in and we're actually going to put our numbers in here to make sure that we have everything that we need. So if you take a look at on the right-hand side, okay, this is the area that we're going to fill in our information, and everything is going to populate in the pictures that you see on the left side. So any of these boxes that you see here, where there's a question and there's room for you to put something in, if you notice there's a little I next to it, if you just put your cursor on there, it's going to explain to you what's required in that box. It's going to give you instructions as to what that number means. All right. But we're going to start off. We're going to make sure that we are on 2022. And for our annual profit goal, okay, this is what Jack was just talking about. This is the money that we want to make before taxes. Okay. Any amount of money that we want to walk home with before we actually have to pay our tax bill. Right. Now, in this exhibit, we had 45,000. I'm just going to put in 50,000 just for purposes of just changing it up here. All right, I want to make 50,000 this year, and this is going to show me how to do that. So now we've got our operating expenses. Now we can either put them in as a percentage, but I think for purposes of new agents just coming into the business, we want to put them in as more of a dollar amount. All right, eventually when your business gets big enough where you can actually track it on a percentage basis, there is a formula that we use, and there's a percentage breakdown. But for now, since we're trying to keep our expenses low and we're actually trying to make sure that we're getting that revenue in and we can cover it down the road, let's put in fixed dollar amounts. Now there's two pieces to this, all right? There are expenses, okay? And we can hover over that. Now that's going to explain to us. Now expenses are things that we have to pay whether or not we do business. So what are some things that we pay regularly that whether or not we're bringing in business, we still have to pay those? Anybody want to throw out some things?
Our MLS dues.
MLS dues, absolutely. Okay, whether or not you do a transaction this year, you still have to pay those. What else?
You also see office fees as an example.
Exactly,
Okay,
market
MLS.
fees. Right? Yeah, absolutely. So any of those things, anything that we're paying on a recurring basis, all right, those are the things that we're going to put in here. Now, expenses should be minimal. I like to say that instead of having an exorbitant number, we want to make sure, again, we're keeping these as low as possible. Calculate pretty much the bare minimum that you need to run your business this year. So maybe that's $5,000, okay? Maybe that's what it is, but we're going to keep it minimal as we get our business going. Cost of sales. Cost of sales are slightly different. Cost of sales, these are the things that we're going to pay only when we have a closing. So we talked a few minutes ago about when we have a closing, okay, there's a portion that we get to take home, and then there's a portion that goes to the market center, all right? Those are the things that we want to capture. And what this is those are the two caps that we talked about. There's the market center cap, and in the example that we had, that was 27,000. There's also the royalty cap, which is $3,000, right? So really, in essence, if you look at it, if we were to do business and we were to maximize our business, really the most that we pay for our cost of sales would be the caps that we have there, which would be the 30,000. So in this example, we're going to use 30,000 for that. Now, if we go down, it's going to ask us what's going to be our business makeup. Do we want to focus more on buyers? Do we want to focus more on listings? What is it that we want to do? If you say, you know something, I want more listings, so I'm going to make that 60%. And of course, this has to add up to 100. So the buyers are going to be 40. So it's a 60-40 split. And you'll see every time I input anything into here, it changes on the left-hand side. Average commission per unit. Okay, average commission we just talked about in the other example, right? What was the average commission that we had in that example? And this is something that you're going to ask in your leadership group for. But what did we have in the previous example? What did we use as
I think it was 9,000.
9,000? Yep. All right, 9,000. So for either one, it's just going to be the same for right now. All right, it's just going to be the same. So 9,000 for each one. Now you'll see here that is very similar to what we just did in the previous example. All right. So in order for us to walk away with $50,000, we need to bring in $85,000 because we're adding back our cost of sales and our expenses, right? 35,000 plus the 50,000 gets us to 85. And you'll see over here that we've got the business makeup. I'm going to focus more on listings this year. Okay. The average commission. So in order for us to hit the profit of 50,000 at the end of the year, I need to be making about $4,166 per month. All right. Does this make sense to everybody so far? Any questions? Okay. All right. So click on next.
Darren,
Yes.
I just need to know after where you came to goals, how you got to that page. That's the part that I didn't understand.
Okay.
So
when you
you
go
went to
report,
reports, yeah, and
go to
then
reports,
goals.
then goals,
Uh-huh.
yep. And then there's going to should be a button that says get started.
Okay.
We'll show you that in a second. I'll go back and I'll show
Oh,
you
yeah,
that in a
yeah.
second.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So in this instance, when we're here at this point, we're going to click on next. And now we're going to go into the funnel that we saw, the pipeline. Okay. This is basically that same pipeline that we saw, only now we're flipping it up to show it as a funnel. Now these conversion rates, don't worry about these right now. You can adjust them on the right-hand side, but I would leave them the way they are because the way that Keller Williams has calculated these is typically these are the conversion rates for new agents. So don't worry about it, but we'll explain to you what they are. So we've taken that pipeline and we've basically made it vertical, more of a funnel. So it explains to you the different steps in the pipeline. The first one being leads. All right, now leads are essentially all of the people that are out there that we could potentially talk to in order to help us to get to our goal. Now we're going to reach out to them. And once again, when we have that conversation with them and we know where they are in the real estate process, they've now become a contact because we've now had a two-way conversation with them. We know what they're looking to do. They're either like, yes, I want to buy now, or yes, I want to sell right now, or, you know, I'm thinking about the summer, or, you know, we're not doing anything right now. Check in with me next year. Okay, that's fine. I now have an understanding of where you're at. And again, we're going to set the appointment. We're going to keep it all the way through. These conversion rates, okay, are basically telling us what's the probability of leads that I talk to, or that I reach out to, I should say, that I actually talk to make them a contact. Well, about 5% of the people that I reach out to, I'm probably going to end up having a conversation. So if I reached out to 100 people, I'd probably talk to 5 of them. Okay. And of all the people that I talk to, about 5 of them are going to set an appointment with me. Okay. So that's why this is a numbers game. We need to be going out and having real estate conversations with the people that we know, and then also with people that we don't know, because the more people that we talk to, the more potential for opportunities that we have here. So of all the people that I talk to, if I actually have a real estate conversation with 100 people, about 5 of them will set an appointment with me. All right. Now, of the people that set an appointment, about 75% of them are actually going to keep that appointment. So if I set up 4 appointments this week, I'm actually going to go on 3 of them. All right. And every appointment I keep, about 75% of them, or 3/4, are actually going to sign an agreement. About 3/4 of those will go under contract. And then about 3/4 of those will actually lead it to a closing. Okay. Because remember, anything can happen between when the offer is made, whether you're on the buy side or the sell side, all the way up to the day of closing. I have seen deals fall apart on the day of closing for very minor things. So you can't count that money until you're at the closing and the right people are walking away with the right keys and the right people are walking away with the right checks. Okay. But this basically is our conversion model right here. With all the conversion rates that are in there, we're essentially going to back into, all right, building our business model based on the financial goal that we wanted and how many houses or how many closings we need to have. So once we take a look at this, we click on save and continue. And now this is just a summary of everything that we just put in here. This tells us exactly what we just did. We're going to click on the last step, which is what's next. And now we're going to the middle part where it says go to reports. I'm going to view my goals. This now takes me back to that first page that we were at. When we went into reports and we clicked on goals and we saw the pipeline, you're going to see that now all of the numbers that are in here, where if this is your first time going in, they were all 0, they now are populated. All right. So this tells me now, how many leads do I have to have for 2022? How many people do I have to talk to? How many appointments, all the way down to how many closings? And it's not a big deal. I just have to find 11,940 people. No sweat, right?
No sweat.
I got to have conversations with 546 of them. I could do that this weekend, right?
Of course.
Yep.
Especially if
Okay.
we're going to be snowed in.
Exactly. That's true. I got plenty of time on my hands. All right. Is this overwhelming? Raise your hand if you think that that's overwhelming. That number is just like, oh my God, what did you
Gosh.
just do?
Yep. You can say yes in the chat if it's overwhelming. And if it's not,
Absolutely.
let us know too.
Hey, if it's not, good for you. But here's the thing with this, the goals that we have here, we want to break them down and we want to chunk them down to something that's manageable. All right. So I'm looking at this, and personally, I would sit there and say, like, okay, I'm done. I can't do this. That's it. This is too much. Let's break it down. All right. So over here, we've got a Dropbox that says this year. We want to look at it this month. All right. Now, the goals that you see here, okay, now it's saying that I need 1,000 or 995 leads. I've got to talk to 46 people, set 3 appointments, all the way down to maybe having 1 closing. Okay. That's not too bad. That is not too bad. All right. That's something that, I think I might be able to do that. But hold the phone here for 1 more second. We're going to break this down even further. How many weeks are there in a month? Anybody want to guess? We got 4. Let's see, chat box here. 4. Okay. 5. We got 5. Let's go with 4. All right. Universally, there's about 4 weeks in a month. All right. So with that, I'm going to take these numbers. I'm going to divide them by 4. So if I've got 1,000 people for the month, and that potentially I've got to reach out to, and I break it down to 250 a week, okay, not too bad. If I've got 46 contacts and I break that down into a week, how many is that a week? About 14 a week. Could you have 14 real estate conversations in a week with people? Could you talk real estate with people that you know and maybe people that you don't know? Could you go to an open house and maybe talk to 3 or 4 people there? Could you call up maybe, I don't know, another 10, 12 people that you know? Have a real estate conversation with them? Yeah, that seems pretty easy. Think about the appointment set and the appointments kept. The appointment set is basically, can I set 1 appointment a week? If I have enough conversations, I could. All I need to do is keep 1 appointment every other week. So I only need 2 appointments a month. That leads me to 1 closing a month, all right? So if I break it down on a week-to-week basis, it makes it a lot easier. And you can even break it down on a daily basis, right? If I say that I need to talk to 14 people a day, and let's say that I do real estate 5 days out of the week, that just means that for the 5 days that I'm doing real estate, I need to talk to about 3 people on average. 3 people. And here's the thing too, is I would get in the mindset of every time I have a conversation, I should be shooting for an appointment. I want 1 appointment a day, not 1 appointment a week, 1 appointment a day. Because honestly, there are going to be days where you don't get the appointment. But if I need 1 a week and there are 2 or 3 days where I get appointments, now I've got 2 or 3. Now think of that. I just doubled and tripled the potential for me to eventually get a closing based on that. And what does that closing represent? That closing represents your paycheck. So whether you're part-time or you're full-time, that's your paycheck for the work that you put in there. And you look at that and you say like, okay, if I'm putting the work in the beginning, that's going to lead me to the closings at the end. The really cool thing about this is as you are working on your business and you're reaching out to people and you're having conversations and you're putting activity into command and you're working on your transactions, these percentages in here are going to start to increase. You're showing the activity that you're doing. So command is keeping track of your goals, right? We said in the beginning, it's also keeping track of your activity. That gap that we have in there, that's now being filled by you taking action. So we know where we are, we know where we want to get to be, and every single day that we're doing that activity is getting us closer and closer and closer. We can go in here every single day and we can see where we are in relation to our goals, both on an annual basis and a monthly basis. So if you know that maybe you're lacking in appointments, it's halfway through the month and maybe you don't have the 2 appointments yet. You know something? I'm going to reach out and I'm going to have more conversations. I'm going to have more contacts. I'm going to reach out to more leads because that's now going to get me to ramp up my activity so that I can get that closing. I can get that appointment. I can do what I have to do. I'd rather know within a week that I'm off base than 6 months from now come to find out that I'm really way off base. Then how do I make an adjustment at that point? It's hard for me to do that. But if I know week to week where I am and making sure that I'm on track to hit my goals and I'm doing those activities day in and day out, the ones that we said, hey, it's not fancy, it's not sexy, but it's things we have to do, we're going to get there. And a really cool thing to do is keep a journal each week or every day of what you're doing. And you're going to see 4 or 5 months down the road, you'll look back and you're like, wow, look at everything that I've done. I've got it right here in front of me in the pipeline of my goals, and I've got a record of everything that I've been doing. Cool thing is underneath there too, you also have the profit tracker, so you can see how close you are getting to your financial goal. So we have our production goal, we've got our financial goal. And down here is more information, okay? You've got how you're doing versus your goal and your GCI, you've got your conversion rates. Command also keeps track of the activities that you're doing. If you take a look at the activities that are here, what are the activities that are actually getting you the conversations? It's all going to be right here. If you're sending emails and that's driving your business, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Whatever it is that's getting you to where you want to be, keep doing it. Does that make sense? What questions do we have about that? Yep, I see in the chat here that the more you break down the goals, the less overwhelming it seems to get. Small steps, definitely important to reach the bigger picture in this field. Absolutely, absolutely.
Well said. Thank you, Jennifer. Well said.
Yeah. If I told you that you had to reach out to 12,000 people right now, I guarantee all of you would walk out and be like, this guy, you know, something's going on here. Something is in his coffee, right? But no, if we said, hey, listen, you just have to have 3 conversations a day. It's 14 a week. Can you do that? Absolutely. Absolutely. Makes it manageable, right? Good. Any questions on that? Anything you want me to revisit? I know we had the question too about how to get in there. So if you click on reports, you click on goals. Once you click on that part, it's then going to take you into the portion where you can start putting in your information, right?
Absolutely. And if you're not familiar just yet with all of the applets on the left-hand side, you can either highlight over the applet and it will, command will also let you know which applet is which. And then you can also click that red KW square on the top left to open up your applets menu as well.
Yep, absolutely. Perfect. All right, great.
All right, we have a question. How do we track progress? Should we enter leads, appointments, and closing manually? That is a great question. Absolutely. As we're looking at the goals here from leads to close, we have leads, contacts, appointments set, appointments kept, agreements, under contract, and closed units. If you're deep diving into Command and you're looking at your goals and you're looking at this screen here, where else in Command will you find something that looks a little similar to this, from leads to closed units? Anyone would like to? Stacy, winner chicken dinner. She says opportunities. That is correct. This is also mimics your opportunities pipeline. So to answer your question, yes, you do track your progress, in real time. So this will activate those goals that you just set inside of Command. You have to be very, very diligent and religiously hop into your opportunities pipeline, which is basically your sales pipeline. And this is how you track your business. You'll go from cultivate to close, and you have potential listings, or you have your potential buyers or active buyers and active listings. You want to make sure that you first enter in the contact in your database, and we're going to talk about that later. Enter in the contact inside of your database in Command. And then second, you're going to create this opportunity. Now, let's be real, Darren, I know you know, just like I know affectionately, agents will not care about entering in their opportunities or creating their opportunities until it's time to get paid, or it's time to submit for your commissions, right? So we want to be mindful to actually enter in our potential listings, our potential buyers in real time, because this particular feature ties into our reports. If you look at the bottom, under each phase, which we affectionately call cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and close, you'll see two things. You'll see volume, and you'll also see average time. So you'll see the volume that you have housed in that particular phase. And you also see average time. And this can also be a coaching conversation, a consulting conversation with your productivity coach. Wouldn't you agree? Because now you see, how long does it take? What is the average time that I keep my clients or potential leads who will be clients? How long does it take me from cultivate to appointment? How long what's the average time from actually going from appointment to active to under contract, and under contract to close? That matters. That definitely matters. So
I
you
think
definitely
it's
want
essential. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's what I'm saying. You definitely want to enter it in real time.
Yeah. And make sure that you go into your contact card, and you can even do it through the Command mobile app. Every time you have a conversation with somebody, put in there what you talked about, what it was, and keep track of those conversations. That's the best way to do it. Go into your contact card for that person and just put in there a quick note in terms of what you talked about, what it was, how you reached out to them. All right. That's a great way to see how you're progressing and keep track of it. All of that will feed through into all of the models that we see here. And yes, to Roberto's question there, yes, the goals can be changed. So if you find yourself falling further and further behind, yes, you can make an adjustment. You can always change it. You can always adjust it. It's flexible for that. And I think that we also had, okay, Karen said when I call my sphere, one phone call is 2 hours. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it can be. But when you do that, all right, just from experience and just from, working on having conversations, talking to agents about this, let people know in the beginning, like, look, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just wanted to touch base very quickly. All right. And just say, listen, I've got to hop into a meeting in 5 minutes. But I just was reaching out just to say hi and let you know that, hey, I'm a real estate specialist with Keller Williams. If you're looking to do something, or if you know somebody looking to do something, definitely let me know. All right. Yeah, the buyers that you have in here as part of the pipeline, those are when you actually initiate the opportunity. So when you actually are reaching out to folks in your database, or if you meet somebody new, let's say somebody in an open house and they say, yes, I want to buy right now. Okay, great. You will now put them in the pipeline for buyers. They've now become an opportunity because you're going to initiate a transaction with them.
Also, I have a question. The person in the market center, do they see our goals, or is just private for us?
Just for you.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, but you know something too. Why wouldn't you want anybody to see your goals? Why wouldn't you want anybody to know about that? I don't think there's anything really, private about that. Yeah, I would tell people.
Well,
like,
as a
hey,
new, why? Just because as a new agent, if we have our goals a little bit too high, they could laugh at us. I don't know. I just feel like
gonna laugh at you? If somebody's going to laugh at you, that's definitely not within culture. All right. And
No.
honestly, I would talk to that person and I would have a conversation with them saying, like, look, we all started somewhere, right? And don't ever be ashamed or embarrassed about your goals. All right. You could put in there $1 million. If you put in there $1 million, you know something, I'm going to look at that and say that person's ambitious. And okay, let's say that you don't hit $1 million by the end of next year, but let's say that you hit 150, 200, 250. Is that going to be a problem?
You know why I say that, Darren? Like I said, I just started in June. I had a person in the market center. She even said to me, "Are you sure this real estate is for you?" Just because I'm not good with technology, but I always love to learn new stuff. And I had this person say that to me. It was discouraged, but because I'm strong, I got it.
Find a new person to hang out with. Surround yourself with people who are going to sit there and say, like, listen, it doesn't matter what your goal is. That's your goal. That's not their goal. That's your goal. And if that person comes around, just say, hey, listen, I don't know what you're doing for your business, but this is mine and I'm moving on. finding people who are going to support me. Surround yourself with the people who are going to say like, absolutely, you got this, keep going. Doesn't matter what it is, you got this. Plain and simple. Nobody should be telling you that.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
know. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Absolutely. And then another
Yeah.
thing is also is we can't ever allow someone else's limits and beliefs to be projected onto us and let it be ours.
Yep.
Can you agree?
Yeah. Obviously, that person had difficulty at some point. That's fine. That's their issue, right?
Yeah, I wanted to prove them wrong. I will do it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I'm just gonna
absolutely.
take a little longer, but what can I do?
Don't worry about it. You got this, right? Just you got this. You go at your own pace. This is about you, not them.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And let's not focus on proving them wrong. Let's prove ourselves right and affirm that we were right in the first place. How about that?
That's what I'm gonna do it.
Exactly.
I also have a quick question about your contacts. Because you made the comment of someone didn't want to put in an opportunity. And I'm just wondering, can the market center see your contacts?
They cannot see your contacts, but they'll be able to see the opportunities you create. Of course, the MCA or the brokers and the compliance department of your market center will be able to see your opportunities and the contact that you attach to that specific opportunity, not your entire database.
Okay, so when you said they don't want to put in their opportunity, would it, because it would get stolen? Why wouldn't they want to put in their opportunity?
Oh, no, they only focus in on, instead of using the tool for its intended use to actually go from cultivate to close in real time, they don't put in the opportunity or create the opportunity until it's time to submit their documents to get paid. That's
Oh.
what yeah, instead of using the function of managing your time and really triggering the reports to let you know, because the goals will let you know if you're on track, if you're a little bit behind, or if you are ahead of your goals.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. They don't use it until they have to.
Right. You know, and honestly too, I mean, as soon as somebody says to you, like, I want to work with you, boom, you create that opportunity because something good is going to happen. And if you wait until the end, like Jack points out, now there's a mad rush at the end and your pipeline doesn't accurately reflect the activity that you're doing. You want to put in the correct information, because remember, garbage in, garbage out. If you put in the correct information, you're going to track yourself correctly on where you're at. If you're putting everything in at the last minute, well, you're not going to be able to see what prompted the beginning of that pipeline. And now you have no idea what's driving your business.
Absolutely. Awesome stuff, everyone. Awesome stuff here.
Really good.
So now the point of this particular conversation today is not to be discouraging. So as we saw here, we heard, I don't want to butcher your name, but I want to believe that is Lourdes. So as she entered or let us know and being very transparent about being discouraged, right, by what that agent's limiting belief. So this conversation today is not to expound on that, it's to actually reshift our thinking or shift our thinking. This is to actually equip us with all of what we need to succeed or how we're going to succeed. This is for encouragement. No matter how big your goal is, you can achieve it in the real estate business, no matter what. As long as you focus your time and on your time and your efforts and the right business activities, you will achieve your goals. And speaking of business activities, we are going to talk about the 80-20 principle. And remember, the 80-20 principle comes from the 6 personal perspectives, which is another course that we have here at Keller Williams. And this was created after Gary Keller spent time with a lot of high volume producing people in their businesses as well as CEOs. And this is a part of that particular perspective. I believe this is the 5th perspective. And within the 80-20 principle, we see here that it says 80% results, and then 20% equals 20% effort equals our 80% of our results. Make more money, time with family, and more organized. Now, in the 1940s, quality control manager Dr. Joseph M. Juran documented a life-changing universal principle that we see here that he called the vital few and trivial many. That's hilarious. The idea was that a relatively small percentage of your efforts lead to vast majority of your results. He attributed some of his findings to the statistical work of the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, who had observed that 8% of the wealth in his country was owned by 20% of the population. As fate would have it, that broadly embraced principle came to be known as not as Juran's law, but as Pareto's principle. It became affectionately known as Pareto's principle. These days, we simply call it the 80-20 principle. The idea that 20% of your actions, which you say 20% effort, leads to 80% of your results by one of the most powerful principles you can apply to your life. Right? I said we have the 80-20 principle about your actions. Remember, we talked about 90% mental, 10% physical, shifting your mindset. It's about getting the most from your time and your effort. It's about maximizing your results. It's about having focus. Remember, we said everyone has the same 24 hours, but everyone doesn't have that. They do not maximize the results by following this 80-20 principle. And this is all that it takes, being very intentional about this 80-20 principle. Now, let's ask this today. Does anyone know what we mean by big rocks? We see big rocks at the bottom left. Anyone knows what does that mean? Can anyone share in the chat or unmute yourself? What do we mean by big rocks? All right, we have something in the chat. Mental blocks. That's a good observation. Anyone else would like to try? Obstacles. Okay. The hardest things, the meat of it. Awesome stuff.
I was thinking that the 20% equals the big rocks. They're like the main focus that you should be doing in activities to get you the 80% results. That
Awesome.
makes sense.
Yes, awesome stuff, Michelle. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, everyone in the chat for sharing as well. Little rocks leads to big rocks. Moving the biggest rock, you'll find the biggest heat for us in this morning. Moving the biggest rock, you will find the biggest treasures. Ooh, that's a great one. Lourdes says challenges. Okay, great. So if your day is a jar, right? Let's just say if your day is a full jar, glass jar, you put your big rocks in first. Okay. If you put your little rocks, sand, gravel, of course, etc., in first, you won't have any room for the big rocks at all. You can't fit it in that jar. Your big rocks are the most important of your activities of your day. That's why you'll hear the top 20% of your day, right? And of course, within those most important activities, those which cannot be skipped. You cannot skip your top 20% of your activities. Your little rocks are distractions or smaller tasks that may need to be done, still needs to be done. However, they aren't going to get you materially closer to your goal. So again, we talked about that bold law, don't mistake movement for achievement. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're being intentional about the 20% of our time in our daily activities to get us the 80% of our results. Here's another quote from the One Thing book. All right, so another way to identify your top 20 is to ask the question central to the one thing. Will anybody care to read the quote that we have on the slide currently? You can unmute yourself and take it away. Unless you enjoy Darren and myself just talking, all right?
What is the one thing you can do right now that would make everything easier or unnecessary?
Great. Thank you so much, Amanda, for reading that for us. What is the one thing you can do right now that will make everything else easier or unnecessary. Unnecessary, of course, meaning this is unnecessary to actually achieving my goals. I like doing it, or I enjoy calling people, or just kind of just chatting it up with my aunt or whoever else. However, is that necessary? Maybe not. We love you, auntie, but maybe not. All right. While we're asking this question, it's simple. It can take some practice to dig down and find the best answer. Okay, maybe it may take some deeper dive. So let's just take a look at this together. So remember, we went through the slide of what successful agents do every day. One of the things under grow business, we have lead generation, lead generate for buyers and sellers. So here's a slide we see every day. We know this is how successful agents spend their time and how you'll spend your time as well. Remember, everything on this list have to be done. This is not just a list and say, okay, I'm gonna do 1 and 4 and we're gonna nail it. No, everything on this list has to be done. We're trying to identify what is our top 20. What is our 20%? Which action will get us the most and best results so that we can do everything else and take care of everything else. Looking at these activities, which activity is a successful agent, that's you, everyone on this call, a successful agent. Can anybody identify what that top 20% is, where we have lead generate for buyers, sellers, make seller listing presentations and get listings, make buyer presentations and get listings, or preview real estate? We are getting some activity in the chat. We have lead gen. Roberto says lead gen. We have lead generate, lead gen. All right. Seems like we are on the right track. There it is. Our answer is to lead generate for buyers and sellers. One thing that I like, my OP and my market center likes to say, have money, have no money. Have money, have no money, right? Don't pick up the phone. Don't have any, there's no income right there. Yeah, all right.
And
That's
just
right.
to play off of that too, like what Jack is saying, one of the things that we like to point out too is that, okay, you don't feel like lead generating today? No problem. That's great. Take out your calendar and write out, okay, 60 days from now, no income, no paycheck. Because I don't know how many of you right now, in the time that we've been here for about 2 hours and 15 minutes, how many of you have had people calling you up looking to do a real estate transaction? Have people reached out to you? No, then you have to reach out to them. Change lead generate to just having real estate conversations, right? Make it a little bit easier. But you don't have conversations, you don't have a business, plain and simple.
Simple. It is not rocket science. It's definitely simple. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Darren. Thank you, everyone, popping into the chat. Okay. Matthew has tried to get out of your comfort zone once a day. Try to get out of your comfort zone once a day. That's a great commitment to have. And speaking of commitments, now we're going to go over your 411. So please turn to page 7 in your participant guide. Now, 411, let's break it down. At Keller Williams, we have a tool for tracking our big rocks and ensuring all of our activities tie back to our goals. It helps us focus, and it's called the 411, as we see here. We see our annual goals, our monthly goals, as well as our weekly goals. And it provides that same energy as we did before, as Darren was going through the goals inside of Command, where we look at our annual goals for this year, and then we can break it down by month. And then, of course, we could break it down by the week. Of course, if you don't have this in your participant guide, you should have it in your toolkit. If you have issues finding it, just let us know. We'll be happy to help. So this is how you'll basically use the 411. Of course, you will go through and identify how many appointments you need, how many transactions you need, your yearly goal, monthly goal, and weekly goal. You have to identify one of the 5. Remember, within one of the 5 rectangles, for the example before, that we envision into our big life. Remember, we had those in our previous activity, we had those rectangles. Now we're going to take one of those rectangles and focus on this activity for our 411. So that is our annual goal. whatever that rectangle is, and now we're going to break it down. While all the elements of your big life are important, I would definitely suggest that you select just one that is the most urgent. We had a lot of people share some really, really pivotal and influential goals and great goals that they would like to hit inside of their business and in their life within the next year. What is that one goal that is urgent, that like probably was the first rectangle that you drew? That's the one we want to take a look at. Now, we can make the other parts of the vision easier. For example, if you want to, again, pay off a student loan debt, or if you want to make renovations to your home, remember that is within, it's possible that the big life vision within that will involve professional and personal goals. So it will be a little mix. So it's just not necessarily all business or all personal. It may be a little mix in between there. Again, that we're focusing on the professional goals for this particular exercise, but that personal goals are equally important. If you are able to identify the personal aspects of achieving this goal, you should be able to add this to your 411 along the way. What will you need to achieve to make this part of your big life possible? What will you need to achieve for that? All right,
Yeah,
we
and you
have
said
a
that-
question.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to read the question there. Yep, absolutely. Go ahead.
Sure. Could it be simply to close on a transaction instead of pay off something? Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially if you are on the journey, on the path to your first closing. Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the formats you may want to consider is up above the annual goal, but just below the Keller Williams there, put in your big why and that envision exercise, envision your big life, all of those things there, put them up there so that you have them right there. And then your goals on the annual, monthly, and weekly can be your production and your financial goals in order to achieve that. As Jack had mentioned, you're going to take one of those rectangles, so you can focus on that per month, per year, whatever you want to do. But if you have that up there, you're going to see the financial and the production goals listed annually, monthly, weekly. That's going to lead to achieving that. So when you talk about putting in transaction, sure, that's going to be part of your production goal right there. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then again, and thank you for that, Darren, to add along, make sure that after you add your annual goal, then what commitment are you making or holding yourself accountable for monthly? And then each week, how we're breaking this down, bite sizes, 1 week at a time.
If you guys want a little bit of a tidbit here, it's 42% of the people that actually write down their goals, all right, are more likely to achieve them. So simply by writing them down, you actually increase your chances of achieving that goal by 42%.
That's an amazing statistic there, right? You just writing down, how powerful is that? Just by writing down the goal and visualizing, seeing. I know Roberto added that earlier into the chat, actually writing down your goals and visualizing it is so powerful. And it's one of the things that can help us along the way tremendously. All right, any questions on how to fill out the 411 or to identify your annual goal using those rectangles from our previous exercise? All right, you all are awesome. All right, Darren, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. All right. When you take a look at the life of a real estate agent, all right, again, we talk about the fact that nothing's glamorous about this. There's a lot of repetition that occurs every single day. But those small, consistent actions that you take lead to bigger things. We just showed that, right? We talked about where we are, where we want to get to be, and taking those small actions, it's going to lead us to a bigger life. But you can't forget the fact that every day you're going to basically have to remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. You have to take a look at envisioning your big life, that example that we just did, okay? You're in this for a reason, all right? And yeah, there are going to be days that are going to be great. There are also going to be days that are a bit more of a struggle. But having that in front of you is going to remind you as to why you're in this business, okay? Everybody had a number of reasons why they were in here, right? We've got family members, we've got nieces and nephews we're looking to help, parents that we're looking to help, ourselves, we're looking to pay off debt, we're looking to buy houses, things like that, all right? But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you don't lose sight of that. because honestly, that's going to be the thing that's going to drive you through the bad days and maybe even through the good days as well. You're going to see that progress is going to start to add up, and it's very easy to get discouraged. All right. But if you find yourself in that position where you are getting discouraged, all right, reach out to somebody who you know is going to support you. All right. If you've got a productivity coach, reach out to them. All right. If you've got a team leader, an assistant team leader, a broker, even the regional tech trainer that you have there, or maybe you've got a market center tech trainer, anybody like that. All right. And the thing that that person is going to do is going to help you to lift you up and maybe get you to refocus what's going on. All right. And a lot of times too, that, you'll sit there and you say, okay, well, maybe that's not enough. So what do I have to do? All right. Revisit that big why, revisit what you have in there, right? There's a reason that you got in here. And yeah, sometimes the best things in life are the most difficult ones, and it's going to be a challenge. But everybody here has the capacity to create whatever it is that they want out of their dreams. And remember, it's your dream. All right. You just have to put in the work. Don't forget that the work comes in there. All right. Now, a lot of folks will talk about coming up with an affirmation. All right. A daily affirmation. One thing that I like to do is like to spin that around a little bit. All right. Yeah, you can come up with your daily affirmation and you can sit there and say, like, okay, yes, I'm great, I'm smart, all that stuff. What you may want to do is may also want to write out what your values are, write out what your strengths are. Focus on that. And a lot of times that will actually get you into a stronger mindset than just saying an affirmation of something that you want to be. All right. Another example of things that I like to do with folks when they're putting together their business and they're talking about what they want to do is take a look in the visualization exercise, right, that we talked about before. Take a look at your business. Number one, figure out who it is that you want to serve. All right. So if you're looking at your business 3 to 5 years from now, what does that look like? All right. Who are the people that you're serving? Maybe it's a niche. Maybe it's first-time home buyers. Maybe it's people in your town. Maybe you want to be the king or the queen of the town that you're in, something like that. All right. Take a look at also who are the people that you're serving. All right. You've got the niche, the people. This is what your business is looking like. This is where it's going to be. Finally, the last thing that you want to look at is you want to say, all right, who am I as the leader of that business? All right. Visualize yourself. What do you look like? Be specific. Now, if you don't have a specific image of what you could potentially be 3 to 5 years from there, find somebody that you can use as a model, right? Modeling is a great way to actually help you to get to where you want to go. Take a look at somebody that you admire, that it could be somebody in your market center. Maybe there's somebody there that has a team, is team leader. Great, follow them. Maybe it's somebody outside of that. All right. A lot of it comes down to finding somebody who's a positive role model. If you can't envision yourself, follow what they do. And then pull that forward, pull that to this time frame right now and say, like, okay, when I'm that person, all right, what would I be doing now? If I were that person or when I'm that person, what would I be doing now? All right. And take that action, right? You're envisioning what your business and what you are going to be like 3 to 5 years from now. And would that person be sitting there right now afraid to call or text somebody on there? Probably not. You've got a successful business because you took action. Envision that. The old saying, what would Jesus do? Insert Jesus, pull out Jesus and insert somebody else that you're modeling. All right. What would that person do right now? And take that action. And those little actions are going to add up. And it's one of these things where you actually have to be consistent in what you're doing. And nobody says that, it's going to be easy. It's all going to be like beautiful every single day. It won't. But, if you're having issues, talk to somebody and keep that in front of you in terms of why you're in this business. It goes a long way. All right. It goes a long way. Jack, anything that you want to add on that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you, one of the biggest things is to, I know Matthew said, any tips? I have trouble writing a monetary number as a goal. My goal is to be comfortable enough to experience life instead of experiencing struggle through working just to get by. One of the cool things you can also do and add to your daily activity to achieve this, just affirmations. Just adding more affirmations, even if there's affirmations that you post all throughout in your office or on your vision board, or if you post it on your door or post it in your bathroom in the mirror, that affirmations is one thing. And about writing a monetary number as a goal, I would challenge you to just start off at just pick a number. if it's 25, 50, 75, 100,000, and just have that as the benchmark. And now you see a monetary number that you're working towards. You may breeze past it. You may take a different steps or a different method to get there. However, you see it, you visualize it, and it becomes powerful. You manifest it into something that exists in real time. Then from there, once you hit that benchmark, then you can just increase it. Now we're at 150. Now we're at 200. Now we're at 250. And you can just take it step by step instead of just saying, oh, I'm just going to set 1 million and just go for that. Because then you may feel some type of way if you're nowhere near 1 million and feel like, oh, well, I'm failing at this because I'm not hitting my goal. No, we definitely want to become very realistic and have realistic goals with ourselves. Okay. And again, your number is your number. This is for your business. No one else on this call we're not going to run each other's business for each other. However, we can mastermind and build upon that. Carolyn also shared that, and thank you for sharing that, Matthew. She can also relate. She feels like she's too ambitious and that her monetary goals are astronomical. Then when she tries to adjust, she feels like she is cheating herself of possible effort, hard to articulate what she's feeling. But no, that's exactly on par to what we were just explaining now. You set that astronomical goal of that number, and then you try to adjust. You're like, well, my goal is to do 50 push-ups in a day. And I'm like, well, maybe I'll do 40 because my arm is kind of tired. But then at the same time, I want to hit the 50 because I don't want to cheat myself. No, we're going to be real, and we're going to we have to show each other grace, right? We're all in this together, and we all know that we're not cheating. You're not cheating yourself, even if you adjust your goal. You're just being real and realistic. Not saying that you can't ever hit 50 push-ups in a day. We're just going to take it step by step. Even if you say, hey, I'll do 50 push-ups, but I'll do 10 push-ups every 2 hours. That's achievable. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean, go ahead.
No. I used to say define comfortable enough. What does that look and feel like comfortable enough? Then add the numbers might be something to try. Great observation.
I say if we take it back to the analogy that we said in the beginning, where we're using Waze or Google Maps, we're sitting here, we know where we want to go, and we use Google or Waze to get to where we want to go. All right. I did this back in September. Went down to my sister-in-law's and my wife. We went to a wedding. Coming back, we took the same road down. We took the same road back. All right. It was basically an 11-hour drive. Well, on the way back, even though I was being told to take a right, to take a right, to take a right, I kept driving straight. And about 45 minutes later, realized, off course. What'd I do? Course correction. I got off, got back on track, and it went on. That's all it takes. Everybody here is too worried about perfection. We're like, well, if I set this now, I'm locked in. Or if it's, there's no such thing as being too ambitious. It's just, look, put it on paper. First thing you do, put it on paper. If you realize that maybe it's not the right number, then adjust it. Do a course correction. You shouldn't feel as though like, oh my God, well, because of that, now everything is ruined. No, to Jack's point, just have some self-compassion. Just say like, okay, maybe it wasn't the right number. I make an adjustment. That's fine. No harm, no foul. Go ahead, make the adjustment. At least now you have a better understanding because you've taken the action. And yeah, okay, the goal is too big. So what? You're thinking big. That's what you want to do. We talked about that in one of the first few slides we had. Got to have that, take that big action, put that effort in there. So what? But if the activities aren't lining up with it, then that's fine. Dial it back a bit. No big deal. No big deal. All right. This doesn't have to be perfect all the way through the end of the year and we're locked in. We can't change it. Absolutely not. Adjust it till you get it to where you want it to be. And then that's going to keep you going.
Absolutely. And keeping us going, remember, it says here, don't lose focus. Remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing.
Yep.
Great observation, Darren. Remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. And to do that, we have this beautiful thing called affirmations. So now we're going to do, we're going to move on in your participant guide. Let's turn to page 8. And the activity we're going to do together is affirming your big life. We're going to create for ourselves a little ritual, okay? Think back to your big life in the previous example before and the goals you've set for yourself. Think about one of those people or causes you've named as something you care deeply about, you really care deeply about. And today we talked a lot about family. All right. So I want you all to use that person or thing you care about to create an affirmation for yourself that you're going to say daily. You're going to say the affirmation aloud whenever you begin a new task, whenever you move to the next step in your transaction or in your day. The key to creating a powerful affirmation is to be very specific. You have not because you ask not. You ask not because you affirm not, right? Tie the activity that you're doing to the greater goal and remind yourself of why all of your work matters. Now, for example, here it is. Here's another example right here. Let's say part of your big life is ensuring that your mom is well cared for as she ages. And let's say that one way you want to do that is to help her pay off her house and pay the mortgage. I want you to write an affirmation to that you will say out loud before every call you make as you lead generate. We're going to take about 2 minutes to write down our affirmation that we will say every time before we make a lead generation call. For instance, you can say, I'm making this call to provide for my mom by paying off her house. I am making this call to provide for my mom by paying off her house because she provided for me and I want to show her I appreciate her. That's powerful. Wouldn't you agree? She provided for me and I want to show her that I appreciate her. So let's take about 2 minutes to write down that affirmation that you'll say every time you will lead generate. And then we're going to come back and we're going to pop our examples either in the chat or we're just going to say it out loud so that we can lock down that affirmation with you. Also, as you're thinking about it too, you can say you want to support a charity. If you're not using a person, if you're using a cause, you can also say, I'm making this call to support the Ronald McDonald House by paying for families to stay there because I want to reduce the suffering of families with sick children. All right, you can say, I'm making this call to support the Ronald McDonald House by paying for families to stay there because I want to reduce the suffering of families with sick children. And as we're writing our affirmations as well, do you feel the difference between making calls for 3 hours a day because you have to, and making calls for 3 hours a day because you want to want to take something off of the plate of a family dealing with a catastrophic illness, or because you want your mother to feel loved and safe? How differently will that call go versus saying, I have to do this because this is my job and this is my business that I'm running, versus you want to take something off of the plate of a family dealing with a crisis or to help out your mom or your dad? How different will your business look if that was your affirmation? All right. Anyone care to share their affirmations that they have written, or they would like to pop into the chat or say it out loud? Anyone? Now, this person, we get that. We get it. All right. No judgment here. However, if you would like to share, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, somebody asked what page are we on. We're not on a page. This is something that you can actually write on your own. And this is something that you can basically put anywhere you have, and something you can stay, keep it in front of you, whether on your computer or maybe a board in front of you, something like that.
Sure. Absolutely. It says it's not like an actual page. We're on page 8 in the participant guide currently. However, it's not like an actual page that you'll fill in your affirmation. You can write this down on your notepad. You can add it to your computer. You can add it to your tablet. sticky note so that you can have it always on your computer or always have it somewhere on the back of your door before you leave your bedroom or before you leave your house.
Yeah, Karen,
All right.
actually shared
Yep.
hers. Yep, absolutely.
I will
Says,
keep going to make enough money to make life easier for my children when I'm gone. I will keep going to make enough money to make life easier for my children when I'm gone. She didn't say life easier for her. She said life easier for her children. That's powerful. Thank you so much for sharing, Karen. Darren, you want to go ahead and read Amanda's?
Sure. Says, I'll make the call to ensure my mother's last years are the ones spent with family and her grandkids instead of worrying about paying her mortgage and bills. Very powerful.
Very, very powerful. Thank you so much, Amanda, for sharing. And Lauren says, I am doing this for our family. And if I hear a no, it is one no closer to hearing a yes. Ooh, there you go. It's one no closer to hearing a yes. You will not accept no for an answer. I love that. Thank you for sharing, Lauren.
One thing that I like to say is let's reframe a no from being a no to not yet. These people just aren't ready to not yet. Not a no, it's not yet. Reframe it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you all for sharing. Now, here's another quote from the one thing. I'll read this. Accountable people achieve results others can only dream of. Accountable people achieve results others can only dream of. Okay. Goals without accountability are just wishes and dreams. We're more likely to do what we've said we're going to do if we know we must answer to someone, whether it could be your accountability partner, whether it be your partner, your spouse, cousin, brother, your productivity coach, definitely your productivity coach, right? They're definitely going to have that conversation with you. And we're going to, and also let's just start from square one. When we wake up in the morning, the very first person that we see is ourselves in the mirror. That is that person that we must answer. When it says we must answer to someone, that's the first person we answer to is ourselves. All right. So now what we're going to do is now you can just find an accountability partner. You all have been working together in Ignite so far, and now you can just find your accountability partner for the rest of your Ignite. You can identify yourselves. You can also just ping each other inside of the chat privately and say, hey, would you like to be my accountability partner? You can do that independently or reach out to someone. And once you have identified your accountability partner, you all can share your 411 with each other. Once you share your 411 with each other, you can identify the annual and monthly and weekly goals. And you can hold you all accountable. Remember, this is your accountability partner. Also, within your calendars, you should set up time to check in with each other, whether it just be a quick 15-minute huddle to just check in with each other. You can discuss your progress. You can celebrate you all's victories together, right? Even if you're doing a toast, right? And encourage each other through the opportunities. The key word right there is through all of that is encourage. We want to show grace to ourselves and others and encourage and be encouraged. That is very powerful. Wouldn't you agree?
Remember I said before that 42% of the people who write down their goals, okay, actually achieve them. If you add in an accountability partner, do you know what that percentage jumps up to? Anybody want to take a guess?
All right. Wow. So anyone is looking to take a guess? Jennifer says 60. Amanda says 50.
Nope, higher.
All right. Carolyn say, who wants to be my accountability partner? Please reach out to Carolyn. She is excited. All right. She says 80. Speaking of Carolyn, she says 80%.
Yep, you're close. It's 77%. So think about it. You just double the probability that you're going to actually achieve those goals just by adding in an accountability partner. And it doesn't have to be one. You can add in several. We've got a few folks in our productivity coaching program, all right, that they are accountability partners, meaning that they are a small team where they actually meet once a week and they talk about what they were looking to do, whether or not they achieved it, and then what their plan is for the following week. And to be honest with you, when you're in a group like that and you have to report to people and you want to make sure you don't let them down, okay, that's big. That's big. So take a look at it. Find somebody here in the chat room and you know, reach out to them. It doesn't have to be somebody that you know. Just reach out to anybody, and also include somebody maybe in your market center. Maybe there's agents that are in there that, hey, you know, can you be my accountability partner? Because not only are you helping yourself, but you're helping them too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Amanda also should thank you for sharing. She also says her market center in New Hampshire does this weekly with everyone that attends. So we're creating our daily and weekly habits that makes us achieve our goals. All right, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. All right, so we are in our last leg within the recaps and ahas, and then we're going to move on into build daily success habits and one more activity here. So ahas to achievement. Now, you all please turn to your, if you're following along in our participant guide, we're on page 8. Now we want to move to page 9 in your participant guide. Please turn to page 9 in your participant guide. The goal of our time together is to help you think, set your mindset, really be intentional, to help you think, feel, act, and use what you have learned to ignite your passion and help you achieve your big why. Beautiful thing that we have shared today in the safe space is that we have identified that family is our big why. Financial freedom, generational wealth is our big why. Renovations to a home, because of course, when we have a declutter our home or renovate and it looks good, it looks great and feels great, it feels like a home, then our mind is clear, our intentions are clear. Okay, now let's write down, you can either write down or you can pop into the chat their ahas from each of these categories. So we have in the categories, how has your thinking changed? What ideas or mindsets were new? We also have, what do you feel differently about? What was meaningful to you today? Next question is, how will your behaviors be different going forward? What actions will you take going forward? And the last question is, what tools, models, or systems will you definitely use? How will they make you accountable? All right, so we have the keywords thinking, feel, actions, tools within this recap. Anyone care to share?
Yes. Yeah, anybody want to share their ahas?
All right, Michelle says,
like,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
You sure? Okay, yeah. I like that we learn how to do and implement, how to set up our goals. It will make us easy and a reminder that I still need to continue in moving forward no matter what.
Awesome.
It's my aha.
Awesome, Lotus. Yes, and you will close this. You are in the right place at the right time in the right business. All right, Michelle says, I will be saying an affirmation before each call. Awesome. And now Carolyn and Michelle will be accountability partners. Now they can say their affirmations before they make their calls together. That's awesome. All right, Deanna says, anyone needs a partner, please email her. Thank you so much. All right, focus on top rewarding tasks with the 80-20 principle. Awesome, awesome stuff. Karen also says, her aha is to find her niche, certain area, and first-time home buyers, and military VA loans. She's going to set up her social media to those people and also study as much as she can on those subjects. And then another beautiful thing I would like, and that's great. Thank you for sharing, Karen. Another cool thing about that is now she has the ability, once she learns about those specific first time home buyers, and she becomes an expert in her local area, she can also set that up for her social post in command automatically. And she can also have smart plans, create smart plans that will nurture those databases for her. Isn't that beautiful? Automation. My favorite word, which is your favorite word, is leverage. Absolutely, absolutely. Amanda says, what would you do if you weren't afraid? I remember Darren brought it up. What would you do if that fear or that limiting belief was gone? This was amazing for her. She's going to expand herself and not be afraid of this new career. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's so much fun. So much fun failing forward, right? Yes. Yep. Darren said it. What would you do if you weren't afraid at all? All right. Anyone else care to share? All right. Kirsten says this shows how clarifying goals and relating them directly to everyday business activities will motivate and focus our efforts and actions. Let's run this back, DJ. This shows how clarifying goals and relating them directly to everyday business activities, not Friday activities, not maybe Monday activities. No, everyday business activities will motivate and focus your efforts and actions. That is powerful. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. Now, what is the common theme that we hear that from everyone that's shared in the chat? What's the common theme? Anyone care to take a guess? All right, Jennifer said family. Our why, motivation. Okay, thank you for sharing, Amanda. All right, what else do we have? We have family, mindset. Yes. Family, mindset, focus. Absolutely. We're talking about what do you feel differently about your mindset, your focus. Everyone seems to feel different about it and feel better about it, most importantly. And it's not as looming or just nerve-wracking as it used to be, right? And then also we have family. Our biggest why is our family, because this is who we do it for. And remember, doing it for our family, providing a service, being servants to the world and being servants to our family and being a humble servant is our rent to stay on this earth. Isn't that powerful? To service your family, your know why. It's so powerful, so good. Of this is us paying rent on earth and being a good servant, and garbage in, garbage out. We're not going to take that. We're going to make sure that we are staying focused. Remember, take time to reflect on everything that we talked about today, everything that all of the participants and you all shared in the chat, and how important it is to building your confidence and celebrating your growth. Because look, even when we started earlier this morning, you're not the same person then. That is the past you already. Now, from your ahas and your observations and identifying your know why and identifying your goals, now you are equipped to do everything you set out to accomplish in 2022. Awesome stuff. Anyone else has anything else to share before we move on? Any more ahas? All right, super sweet. You all have been amazing. All right, so now lastly, we're going to go through building daily success habits. All right, building daily success habits. So this is, remember, we are going to go through building our database. We go through script practicing. Remember, lead generation, have money, have no money, have money, right? And then contract practice. So you can also reach out to your brokers or your compliance officers for that. If you ever, for your particular region or area, if you need any assistance within that, especially if you're a new agent, please reach out to your productivity coach or your MCA department. So now that the overall goal is to spark for our businesses is to get that first appointment. So we see SPARK goals to set your career on fire. So 10 contacts added, 10 conversations a day, 10 handwritten notes, and 10 home previews per week. Remember that you can always go back into goals in command and track your database health. Another thing that we saw inside of the goals area or the reports area, and you also see it as a widget tool on your homepage, is your database health. Anything from 0 to about 49% is in the red. where we have room for opportunity to build our database. And anything from 50% to 100%, which is within the green, you have a healthy database. And how do we build that database? Of course, by adding our contacts' full name, address, their telephone number, email address, adding contact tags for their custom tags, as well as any other additional information if they have any additional numbers, or if they have a social media handle, or if you have their home anniversary and more. It is all within command inside of your contacts tab when you're adding information to that client. All right, we have a question. Please describe a little bit 10 home previews per week. Darren, you want to actually answer that?
Yeah, sure. What you want to do, everything you see here, these are all the activities that we're talking about. Remember those little activities to make you productive? This is learning the business. And these are the things that are going to help you to generate business, because this is a combination of lead gen and training. All right. So adding 10 contacts, 10 conversations a day, 10 handwritten notes. Okay. And the 10 home previews, that's going to give you an idea of what it means to go out and actually look at a home. All right, going out, taking a look at it. So when you actually go out on your first showing with buyers, okay, it's not going to be new to you. You're going to have a good understanding of the types of homes that are out there and what they all look like, how they operate, different features, things like that. So what you're doing is you're basically getting the experience before you have the experience. And by doing that, you'll understand how it is to schedule the appointment, walk through the home, take a look at it. And then at that point, to understand if you had a buyer with you, what things would you point out? Okay. Now, I would say with something like this, if you're going to do home previews, if you have an MLS that allows you to select homes that are unoccupied, probably better to do that. Maybe instead of 10 home previews, you go on 10 open houses in the weekend. All right. But the reason why we select unoccupied houses is because of the fact that you don't want to ask a family to leave their home for a half hour just so you can walk around. Okay. Make sure that you're respectful of that. But what it's doing is it's helping you to increase your knowledge, right? Get out of your comfort zone, find out about the homes that are out there. Okay.
Great question. Great question. Thank you so much for that. All right. So again, for our scripts, why is it important to learn, internalize, and personalize scripts? Anyone care to answer or read off any of the bullet points? All right, super sweet. So we're just going to go through, and this is why it's important to learn and internalize and personalize scripts. All right. One of the daily habits is memorizing and internalizing your scripts, because practicing and internalizing scripts allows you to grow your business. Okay, even if it's just even if you just have bullet points to your script, even if you have a full script that you're going through and you're memorizing word for word, that's very powerful. It helps your business grow, and it helps your mindset grow as well. Just as a doctor learns the anatomy before working with patients, agents, you all need to learn scripts and prepare to have meaningful conversations with clients, very meaningful conversations with first-time home buyers, sellers who have all the kids are out the house and now we just want to downsize to a townhome or to a little small cottage, right? This helps you have meaningful client conversations. With scripts, you also control the conversation by using purposeful language that helps you get to the end point, which is a closed transaction. Using purposeful language that helps you close. They also help you communicate your value. Once you have internalized scripts, you can also add your value proposition, which will help lead generation efforts and lead to close deals, adding your secret sauce to it, right? Scripts help you uncover motivations for your buyer motivation, seller motivations, and identify any objections so you can handle them upfront and with grace. It also allows you to have a rehearsed response that delivers a powerful message in a way that the consumer will be best understood, that they can best understand it, speaking to who your clients are and really relating to them. Okay. Also, it allows you to ask questions in a way that will be able to, that you can quickly share the information you will need to better serve them. For example, if you have buyers looking to, or potential first-time home buyers looking in specific neighborhoods, now that you have went into your contact and you've actually added neighborhoods to those contacts, now you get to let them know as the expert of the market, hey, I will be reaching out to you and sending you some materials either bi-weekly or monthly with a neighborhood nurture to let you know all of these subdivisions and areas you're looking to move to so that you can have the real-time data to see when is best to buy. Do we still need to save? All right, is this the best time to move? You'll have all that data, and I will, as the professional, I'll be able to provide that for you. And it also, excuse me, and it also helps you gain confidence. So lead generation, uncover motivations, identify objections, close your transactions, close your deals, speak in terms the customer understands, and finally, it also builds your confidence.
We actually do this every single day in our market center. We run a 8:15 script practice and role play. That's one of the 5 essential activities of a successful real estate agent, is practicing every day. I think to point that Jack was bringing up earlier, listen, if you're a professional athlete, that doesn't mean that you stop practicing, right? They practice before a game, they practice during the week, right? Doctors practice medicine, lawyers practice law, everybody practices, all right? Just because you learn a script doesn't mean that, okay, I got it, I'm done. All right, you learn it not to get it right, but you learn it until you can't get it wrong. And the reason why we have script practicing every single day is so that people can come every day, hear other people's script practice, they can participate, because honestly, the scripts are your #1 tool to success. All right, I know nobody wants to hear that. I know nobody wants to do them. And I know nobody right now really is taking that seriously. But you'll come to find that if you start reading those scripts, and you start internalizing them and writing them out so that they sound like you and they sound genuine, you're going to be able to have a conversation with everyone and anyone, whether you're actually at a party this weekend talking to family or friends, or you happen to be standing in line at a grocery store and the person behind you mentions the keywords real estate. You know how to have that conversation, what questions to ask. One of the things that we do when we do role play, we do expired, for sale by owners, listing consultations, follow up, all of that. Okay. And you'll see how a lot of that overlaps. If you're talking to an expired and you're having that conversation, you're asking them what's the next step of what they're going to do. And they say, we're going to put the house on the market on our own. It becomes a for sale by owner conversation. Same thing if you're at a listing appointment and the person says, well, we're thinking about selling it on our own. That becomes a for sale by owner conversation. A lot of overlap here, but as long as you know the generalities and you're able to build a mental file cabinet of all of the scripts, the objection handlers, and you can listen intently to your clients and be able to have those conversations that sound genuine, you will get that business every single time. All right. Don't be afraid. I fought it in the beginning and it was the worst mistake I could have made. These are the things that are going to help you to open doors, have conversations, close business, ask for appointments, everything, anything. So study the script. You have 2 script books that are in there, one for Spark, one for Elemental. Okay. That's the beginning. There's plenty of other ones that are out there. If you take Bold, you'll get access to other scripts that are out there. There are other people in your market center who have scripts. Reach out to them, ask them to help you out. Your accountability partner, yes, you're going to be checking on your 411 and your goals. You should also be doing script practicing and role playing. You go as the agent, they're the homeowner. Then you swap roles. It only takes 15 minutes. Okay, do that. Make sure you have that. I have script partners myself for the role that I'm in. I actually had somebody in Czechoslovakia script practicing with. I have somebody in Nova Scotia. I have somebody in Pennsylvania. All right. Those are the people. It helps you to get better. All right. Helps you to get better. And yeah, if you know what conversation to have, that's great. So when you're at a party and somebody says, hey, how's the real estate market? What are you going to say? Good. Where does the conversation go from there? How about, well, that depends. Are you a buyer or a seller? Now we open up the conversation. Now we find out what the angle is that they're coming from. Well, we're thinking about selling in the spring. Okay, what's important about the spring? Now we're getting in a little bit deeper. Now I have myself a listing. It's all it takes. It's all it takes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great stuff, Darren. Thank you for sharing. And also another thing too, as he mentioned with accountability partner, just time block about 30 minutes a day. with your accountability partner. Time block to go through and role play your script practice. Okay, you will pick a script. One of you will be the listing agent or the buyer's agent, and one of you will be the buyer or the potential seller. And then you can switch. So say about 30 minutes. So 15 for one set, and then another 15, and you'll switch roles and practice your script. Try to do that and be very intentional of time blocking 30 minutes a day with your Ignite accountability partner. Go over also your 411 and just celebrate your successes there, and just script practice. Even if you time block, okay, Tuesdays and Thursdays we will meet, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, or however you all set it up. Just make sure you have that intentional time to script practice with your accountability partner. And speaking of scripts and calls, all right, we have a question in the chat. All right, so how do I handle objection if seller says, I want to sell the home by myself? So FSBO. So within the FSBO, if you want to actually deal with that objection, Darren, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, this is why you've got to read the scripts. I mean, I can tell you exactly what to say and go over that, but it doesn't really matter until you actually learn the scripts and then you actually put them into action, because you could study those scripts for 2, 3, 15 years, but until you actually go out and have these conversations. But honestly, if I was at a listing appointment and somebody said, well, we're thinking about selling it ourselves, the universal question is like, tell me more about that. You know, what's important about selling it on your own? Now you start to dive in, because critically you want to go about 3 layers deep. Ask that why, without saying why. So what's important about that? What would be important about you selling it on your own? Something like that. If they say it's commission, that's great. Now I can have the conversation about, hey, typically when somebody sells a house on their own, they're looking to save what, 5, 6%? But according to the National Association of Realtors, okay, a typical homeowner that sells it on their own loses 13% of value. So what you're doing is, by putting it on the market yourself, sure, anybody can get an offer. That's the easy part. But what about everything else that happens afterwards? And because of that, without the negotiation skills and having a professional on your side, you typically lose 13%. So you lose twice as much as you were looking to save. So where can I put the sign in the yard?
Absolutely. Great stuff. Great gems, Darren. Thank you so much. And also, speaking of gems, Karen just dropped one in the chat for us. She says 95% of home sellers that work with an agent sell their home faster. Powerful stuff there. Great to add to your script. It's measurable. You have quantitative data, and you can support that and back that up as well. Awesome stuff there. Awesome stuff. And as you all are making your calls and holding each other accountable and doing your lead generation, another thing to keep in mind, as important as always, is the compliance do not call list. Super important, especially for new agents that just think, hey, I'm just call everybody everywhere, and we're just run with this business. They're going to take it. Nah. It's levels to it, right? So under federal law, sellers and telemarketers, including real estate agents, are prohibited from calling consumers listed on the Federal Trade Commission's do not call registry. So taking a look at the slide here, we have, remember to always subscribe to the registry. Subscribe to the registry. It is hosted on the dedicated website for that. And your market center should be able to subscribe to the registry already and provide you with the login credentials. So reach out to your market center's leadership to subscribe to your specific registry and to that registry, excuse me. Also, that is a violation of federal law to make any calls without access to it. So is, again, a violation under federal law to make any telemarketing calls without access to the registry. So today or first thing Monday morning, please reach out to your market center leadership to make sure that you are subscribed, okay? Check before you call. Now check, before making a call, check to see if the consumer is on the registry. If the consumer is on the registry, of course, do not call. Please do not call. We want to see you have success in your business in 2022 without lawyers, right? Update your call list regularly. Actually, time block for that as well. Update your call list regularly. Delete all the numbers in the registry delete all numbers in the registry from your list at least every 31 days. So just to make it say, hey, every month on the 1st or every month on the 5th, I'm going to, or right after transmittal, I'm going to update this list. So you can time block that and add that to your calendar. Know your state and know the state and federal laws in your area. Well, federal everywhere, right? But know your state laws as well. Check before you call. We went over that. And honor consumers' requests. Now, never call a consumer if the consumer requests to be placed on your personal or your market centers, because again, you may have made the call to them, but also 50 other agents in your market center did the same thing because they had an active listing that was taken off the market, and we want to know why, because we want them to help them sell their home, right? They may actually ask you to be put on your personal do not call list or your market centers do not call list. All right, do not call that list at all. All consumer do not call requests must be placed on the list and honored permanently. Once that consumer has been requested to be added and placed on the list, that is set in stone. Please do not call them unless the consumer subsequently consents to be called and they tell you, hey, I was going through a lot. I actually do want to sell my home. Sorry. Right. All right.
Yeah, one of the things Amanda has in here says asking if they were bought in the last 18 months. Isn't that exempt? There is no such thing as an exemption. You treat everybody, if they're on the do not call list, you do not call them. There's no such thing as exempt. There have been several lawsuits out there, and basically the real estate agents tried to plead their case that it wasn't a sales call, that it was this, that, the other thing. They lose every single time. So unless you've got an extra $40,000 that you can part with, I wouldn't go down that route. There's no case against it. If they're on the do not call, they're on the do not call, plain and simple.
No ifs, ands, or buts, no exceptions. If they're on the do not call, that's exactly what it means.
Yep.
All right. So that great observation. Thank you for that, Amanda. And thank you so much, Karen. Thank you. Thank you for that gratitude. All right. And then remember just to revisit the state and federal laws. Know that in addition to the federal laws, many states have laws governing telemarketing, and make sure you're familiar with it. You're compliant within your state laws so that you will not legally get in trouble or have to fork out any expenses that you didn't put into your goals, right? You should be only calling your sphere. Remember, your SOIs, your sphere of influence. You should only be calling your sphere or referrals if they have the permission to have that conversation with. If you have the permission to have the conversation with them, remember, you're calling your sphere and your referral network. And if you have any additional questions when it comes to anything within going through your scripts or going through updating your contacts in your database or anything with your contracts, please reach out to your market center leadership, either your productivity coach, your market center tech trainer, your regional tech trainer, as well as your TL for any of that. They will be happy to help. I promise you. Right. You all have been amazing today. We have thugged it out. We did not need a break because, of course, time flies when you're having so much fun. Wouldn't you agree? So if you need to get any additional help, you can either go to Command or Connect. So if you aren't familiar, so we're looking at the screen here with Command and Connect. If you're not familiar with it, then you can either pop it into the chat, kwconnect.com, or of course, you'll visit agent.kw.com, which is the Command website. And let me just stop the share for just a second. And Darren, do you still have your Command available? Yep. Okay. So Darren is going to share his screen and we're going to look inside of the Command website of how we get to access all of our help, all of our resources, and more through KW Command. And how do we get help additional to this specific class, whether it be your lead generation and more. So now we're looking at our Command screen here. Let's pop back into the home screen so that we can kind of walk through this together. I like to do this because, you know, a lot of people will say, hey, my screen doesn't look like yours.
Yeah, but
Now
we're
it does.
running,
Now it
yeah,
does.
we're running a little short on time, so we get a few minutes here. So let's go through quickly how they can do that,
yeah.
and then do an idea of what we can, you know, different ways that they can actually go through and you know, get the answers that they need to any of the questions that they have. Absolutely. So
Absolutely.
Yep.
Go.
Tell me where you want me to start, and I'll jump through that, and we'll get through it. You want to start in the upper right hand corner then?
Absolutely. We're going to start in the top right corner, and we're going to stay there because that beautiful that beautiful question mark right next to Darren's name is the help and information tab inside of command. Once you click that question mark at the top right, it will always show, no matter what applet you're in. You can click that help information tab, and now this will break down the guided tours, to break down the tours throughout command, to give you some tips, tricks, and hints about what are these applets and how to navigate them. Also, my favorite, Keller Williams University, is the next thing. This is where this will take you into the education portal within kwconnect.com, where you can learn anything about KW technology or anything of the courses that we have available for you. Also, you can chat with support. If you're running into a common bug, you're working in your database or you're working in command, and there is something going wrong or something is not working when I'm clicking it, you can always click chat with support, and then someone from the support team in Austin will be happy to chime in and help you through that. Also, if there's a feature that you would love to actually suggest to the labs team in Austin to actually add to our database, to our designs and more, you can always post an idea or click that tab, which will redirect you to ideas.kw.com. Ideas.kw.com is where you can suggest any features that we do not have yet that we can build out for you. Remember, this is built for agents by agents. Okay. And then also, lastly, if you X that out, Darren, the help and information tab, you can also find command training. If you go to your name and photo at the top right of the screen and click the tab there, you can also see the third option is command training, and it will take you through that as well. And it's just redirecting you to the command your business page in kwconnect.com. Excuse me, the tech enabled agent page in KW Connect.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Good stuff. Good stuff. You all have been tremendous today. So again, remember, make your success list. Take this time right after the class, spend about 5 minutes after this session, all right, to add your success list. So we see here that we have the to do, should do, priority, and task. Are tasks written as observable actions? Are they written as results? Are the tasks? So hey, you can go ahead and add this and write this in your participant guide. But the beautiful thing about the to-do, should-do, and priority tasks, that's also inside of command. You can also add this as your task list inside of command, utilizing the task applet as well. So then you identify, so you write the task, and then on the left-hand side, you'll just add an X of letting you know what is the identification of that task. Is it a to-do, should-do, or it is a priority? And once you have identified that, you can also share it with your accountability partner. All right, lastly, please, 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 please complete the Ignite survey for us. All right, so if you have your phone out, you can scan the computer here for the QR code. If not, you can visit this link here. And I'm going to stop my share. Sorry about that. I'm going to stop the share so I can just pop the link into the chat. If you aren't able to scan, just going to pop it into the chat here. So please complete the survey for Darren and myself. And for this, and that's the Ignite survey that you'll be completing for this particular Spark. And then you can go ahead and visit that link and take about 2 minutes to complete that as well. You all have been amazing. Darren, it has been a privilege to share this Ignite stage with you this morning. All right. So I'm very, very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for you all being here and being consistent and saying yes to growing your business and nurturing your database, as well as completing your tags, and most importantly, setting your goals that matter. Darren, do you have anything else to add?
No, I just want to thank everybody for attending. You have my phone number here. I have it on the screen. So if anybody has any questions, you can always reach out to me directly. Good luck with everything. I'll be here again next Friday teaching a class, but good luck to everyone. Hopefully, work on those goals this weekend to get things in place. That'd be great. And Jack, thank you very much for your help. You did a fantastic job. I always appreciate that. Great working with you today. Not much else to add beyond that. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. And I just popped into the chat so you can just grab that real quick. If not, you can reach out to Brooke or Cassie and you can get my information there. There's my email in the chat, as well as my direct cell number if you have any additional questions regarding tech or growing your business, or if you would like to do some script practice. We're available.
You got it.
Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy your Friday. Stay safe. Take great pictures in the snow. Don't get lost. And don't get lost in the frost, okay? All right. Gratitude to everyone. Thank you, and have a great and safe weekend, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.